folks. It is Friday, July the 16th, 2021. And as you can imagine from this week in sports cards, nothing going on. Nothing much happening. So needless to say, I think we'll have a couple of things to talk about tonight. I actually got a message, so Mr. Burrell is running a couple of minutes late, but that's all right. I thought let's get started on time here and get underway. We've got a couple of things to talk about. A couple of these stories are a little less interesting than others, so we can start off with those and then circle back around if we need to afterwards. So we can definitely do that. So first things first, I'm going to acknowledge. So AmishDaveArcher was ready to go with the message to start off the day. He's ready for the hot takes. We'll see if we can oblige. I think I've got some ideas and some thoughts, so we can definitely do that. So we'll get into that. Good evening, Yannick. Absolutely. Hopefully the rest of you have had a good week so far. So exactly, Sanderson News got it right. Yeah. So I figured we can probably be out of here in about 10 minutes. So this will be a nice quick live stream. Very efficient. I'm sure something got released somewhere or something, and then we can move on. That'll be good. So good evening, Jeff, and good evening, Jeff. So there you go, back-to-back Jeffs. Very good stuff. So I'll be honest with you guys. Usually I almost never take notes before a live stream. That's not really a thing that I like to do. However, I do like to have some bullet points just for stuff that I might want to talk about, just in case there's a little lull or something. You know, obviously I'm paying attention to what you guys are doing in the chat and all that as well, always. But at the same time, if there's a little bit lull, and usually ahead of time I'm thinking of some stuff. That's part of the reason I did that video last night that came on this morning, so that I could flesh out a couple of the ideas just in case I didn't get to them tonight. Now, of course, I get up today and there's more stuff happening, and we didn't have any way of knowing that in advance. So we'll see how that goes. But the point is that this time around, like every other time, I put a couple of quick bullet point notes just to hit on, and this is the actual thing. So I had a couple of quick bullet points. It is literally bullet points just to do it, but it's like, all right, like a pro set card. Never mind. Forget it. We're not even going to bother with this. So I had to redo it. So anyway. So what I'll do is I'll touch on a couple of the less interesting ones first. We'll get onto those, and then we can always circle back around them if we need to. And then once Bobby joins in, we can chat about the more interesting piece. I did include some of them in the title already, so you already kind of know where this is going to go. I'm trying to incorporate that more going forward, just so that if somebody checks it out later, at least they have an idea of what the live stream, some of the topics were in the live stream, even if I can't capture everything. So that'll be something. So hopefully the rest of you have had good weeks so far, and we'll kind of play into that. So let's get into one of the things that I want to talk about, one of the less interesting ones that's still kind of high level. It was one of the things I talked about last night / this morning, and that was an A-Rod-led SPAC, so one of those acquisition companies looking at Panini. It's interesting just from the perspective that obviously any sports card company in the space right now is at least worth looking at. So anybody who's not getting at least offers or inquiries, then you'd have to kind of look at yourself in the mirror. And we'll touch on some of the other stuff as well. But it's interesting. Right now they're in the investigation phase anyway. They're doing the due diligence, so there's not much more to talk about than that. A-Rod is obviously a name. So, he's out there looking for opportunities. And right now Panini has some licenses that would be worthwhile to somebody. If there's something else that we want to talk about, we definitely can. But for the most part, it's interesting just because it's A-Rod and it is Panini. So it would be significant if something happened with that, and it would go in line with a bunch of these mergers and acquisitions that have been happening. So it would just be another domino to drop in that space. We'll see what happens with that. It would be interesting to see going forward. Outside of that, though, still too early for that to be a much bigger story than that. So I'll move on from that one. And like I said, we can always circle around to it if there's something else you guys want to talk about relates to that one. So second one, that's the one that kind of came on today. So Joe Orlando steps down as CEO and president of Collectors Universe. Nat Turner is now taking over that role. So now Nat Turner has fully solidified his power. He is now fully in charge and has the throne, the crown, and the scepter, and the whole 9 yards. Having a little bit back and forth debate, kind of a fun debate in the group text that I'm in with some other collectors. Some of them were rejoicing and everything. And I look at it from the perspective of Nat has been there already the last couple of months, kind of being hands-on. So I don't think it's this big dramatic shift that I think some folks are going to consider it. We'll see, obviously, going forward. But it's not like Nat couldn't enforce his authority as, executive chairman if he wanted to the last couple of weeks or months. Joe Orlando was always going to be there for a while as kind of a bridge to whatever the next thing was going to be with Collectors Universe. And we have to remember it's CEO and president of Collectors Universe, not just PSA. And one of the other little stories that was played in is that Collectors Universe, the parent company of PSA, also bought WATA. So in the video game grading space, and I mentioned that in that video. So it's one of those things where Nat is coming in, but it's not like Nat is necessarily, if you're overseeing the whole company, you're just making a new acquisition. You're probably going to want to pay attention to that as well. So it's not just going to be like, oh yeah, let's focus all our attention on PSA. There's a really good chance that if he's operating as a CEO, even though he's going to want to be aware about what's going on, he might not be in there every single day focusing on the PSA piece, especially with a new acquisition and the things they're going to have to do to get that, because they're trying to build an overall company. They're trying to make money. They're trying to build an overall company. So that's going to be part of it. So it's significant. Yes. Change at leadership always is, especially now that they're really getting into it. But it's just another domino to fall. It's another step in that direction. So we'll see what happens. But I'd be curious to see going forward if there's any major changes. I wouldn't be shocked if there isn't for a while. And I wouldn't be shocked if they continue the course, because it's not like when the company took over, that Joe Orlando was able to just do carte blanche whatever he wanted without consulting Nat and the ownership group. He's still at the behest of the crown, so to speak. So there's a good chance that a lot of the things they were doing, they were okay with, because they just let him do them. And if people didn't like it, Joe Orlando could bear the brunt of it until now. Now he's going to be out. And now if people don't like what they're doing, well, then you can direct your attention to Nat Turner. So that'll be, we'll see if Nat Turner actually wanted that smoke, or maybe keeping Joe Orlando in there as a patsy might have been a better play. We'll see about that long run wise. All right, so Shome is here. Good stuff. Good evening. Okay, so let me start on this one a little bit, and then we'll get into the main part of it. One of the things that I wanted to kind of look at was Bench Clear Media has made 2 videos the last couple of days, and they've been related to the sports card collapse. So we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to have a little bit of fun with that, because it is interesting. They brought up some compelling and interesting points. I agree with some of them, truthfully, but I will play devil's advocate a little bit just to make this interesting. And then I'm hoping once Bobby joins in, we'll be able to kind of build up a little discussion. So, more people in is always a better discussion. So let me check here. So Mr. Archer, you want to nod? You good to go? Yeah, perfect. Good evening, Dave. How's it going?
Oh, wonderful.
I've been told that you are a man who hold on, let me complete this picture, because the only way to do this right, we need Dave's best friend, the person he cares about and believes in the most in the world, to be on the screen. He has to share the screen with us. Here you go. So we got Ty, Breaker Culture, but that's not his best friend. No, the best friend is the one on the other side. That's Mike, Baseball Collector. We gotta have that guy. So I want to touch on a couple of things, because I think there's an opportunity. Here's where the opportunity for hot takes kicks in. So that's why I think Dave dragged himself out of his cave. He goes, hold on, let me get my Jode shirt on here. Let's get it on here. So quickly, I'll acknowledge Bless and Breaks here. I've enjoyed Carlos Cloud and the content creators who give financial advice. Well, I hope you'll do the same for the content creators who are making the do's and don'ts for the national videos and popping up everywhere. I'm not morally opposed to that. Let's just put it that way. Yes, but let's see what we can do. Let's start off with this one, though. Let me quickly give the synopsis for those of you that haven't seen it. Bottom line, the 2 videos kind of go hand in hand. By the way, it didn't need to be 2 videos. I understand the whole cliffhanger thing, but it's like, guys, you could have just put it in 1 video and it would fine. Anyway, so the point is they were trying to make the argument that there is going to be a sports card collapse as a result of the stagnant prices and the decreasing action, and that this could, as they put it, and I like their verbiage on this one, they're calling the national potentially being a liquidation event, and I was like, ooh, liquidation event, the event of liquidation, very exciting, very exciting. So good evening, Paul. You're right on time. We're gonna have some fun here, Paul. So here's the thing. Some of their rationale is not like terrible. I'm a big fan, Dave, of I'll listen to almost any argument if you at least build some reasons into it, explain to me why. And that way, even if I don't agree with you, then we can talk about like, okay, so your reason here is kind of weak and it's weak because of this or whatever. This doesn't make any sense. This seems reasonable. This part, maybe build off that. I'm cool with it. As long as you got something to bring to the table. At least I will say they brought some points. Some of them are very interesting. Some of them are reaching a little bit because there's a little bit of easy pushback, I think. That would be very easy to do because they're making a couple of assumptions that I don't necessarily agree with. But just off the top and really quickly while I'm doing this, Mr. Bobby, you good to go? Let's give it a go here. Let's see if his audio is good. How's it going?
Should be.
Awesome. So Dave, real quick, you get first crack. Did you see these videos already? Do you have any idea kind of what they talked about?
I watched them in the last hour. So.
Sure. So it's fresh on your mind. So, of course, being your best friend, Mike Baseball Collector, his word is basically gospel in this hobby. So what were your initial thoughts?
It's putting information out there that if you are actually entrenched in the hobby in any way, shape, or form, you already knew this. You knew the people coming in were sort of foolhardy. If you're watching those 10, 15,000 subscriber channels, flashy pictures for their whatever. I can't even think of the word, but the placeholder for the video. You're following that sheep, as our good friend Ed would say, cryptograph. You're going to get slaughtered. Mm-hmm. If you're buying at the peak, what do you think is going to happen? Mm-hmm. It again, I guess, great for them to put out some content in a 144p resolution video for one of the guys, but it's nothing that's earth shattering. I mean, hey, if you bought cards about a year ago for the high, right now they're low and people are selling, they're losing money. Really? Mm-hmm. Huh. Interesting. Mm-hmm. You don't say.
Mm-hmm. So from that perspective, you agree, and I think that's fair. So let me touch on that first, and then I'll touch on the second section, because there's two parts to this that are interesting to me. The first part, I agree with you. I think those of us that have been around for a little bit, the premise is fine. Like, he even showed the little cycle of, euphoria and all these things, these cycles of different manias. That's normal. That we've seen that before. It's true. It's absolutely true. But again, it's, to your point, it's not something we didn't consider already. Like, you can only go up so much before you get an adjustment or correction. And that's going to force, we'll use a little bit of cryptocurrency verbiage here. There's going to be paper hands. There's going to be some folks that are going to want to hot potato the thing out of their hands as quick as they can. So their premise there, I actually don't have an issue with their premise there, but then they go beyond and take it to the next level where it gets a little bit awkward for me. And I don't completely agree with their premise, but I'll touch on that. So Bobby, you want to take a stab at the first part of that premise?
So I almost missed this, the chickens for Dave there. Sure. The sky is falling kind of scenario. The first premise of this, that the hobby, that the National is going to be a sell-off. I don't know. I can't say we know, but I'm very surprised that they would mention, Mike would mention that when he didn't mention over the Hobbypalooza. He didn't mention it on Jeremy's show. Was he with Jeremy at one time? Yep. Something like that. Yeah. So, if you talk enough, I guess you're going to say a few things you may regret later on. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So you're touching on something very good that is going to be part of my getting into the second thing. The reason why I say the extension is a little bit interesting. So let me touch on what you played off of here. So Mike, from a collector perspective, has a good vested interest in trying to drive down prices. You can argue about how much influencers we are, but if you're a collector, then cheaper is good. From that perspective, I am in agreement. Great. Good for me. As a collector, make it cheaper for me. Dave has 50 billion collections to feed. So reduce his cost. It's not a bad thing. He'll be able to buy an extra drink. Like this is a fantastic day for Dave. So you're making his life better, to be honest with you. So from that perspective, it's okay. So I can see where Mike would have advantage. But to Bobby's point, when you're on these other shows and on these other things, and we're portraying the positivity, and we're also saying like, hey, everybody should go to the National. And it's like, wait, you just said we should go to the National, and you're saying that a bunch of people that are going to try to sell, including not just dealers, they're going to people that are going to go there and bring some cards to try to do some wheeling and dealing. And you're just saying they're going to take a bath. So you're going to go all the way to the National and bring stuff with you that you're not going to be able to offload unless you basically go bottom rung and it's a race to the bottom. Now, I don't completely agree with that premise for a reason. I understood where they came up with this, and it's a continuation of what Ty from Breaker Culture talked about, the Wells Fargo line of credits. He's starting to think economic terms. He's also starting to think of some of those factors. But there is one little fatal flaw that I see in their wonderful logic that I would push back on from a devil's advocate perspective. Before I do, though, Dave, you want to throw anything that you might not agree with 100% on this premise?
No, I'm all ears.
Okay. So here's the reason why I say this is going to be a very tricky thing to sell on. This is going to be tricky because what you're going to have is twofold. And Bobby touched on one of them, so I'll get to that one. That'll be the second one. The first thing. Okay, let's assume this is true. Let's work on this idea. So I think we've stared at these guys enough. I think we're good. So let's assume for a moment this is true. Let's go off this idea. Okay, great. I'm willing to go with you to a certain degree. Okay, so we get to the National. And all these dealers, and by the way, you tipped your hand because you said this almost 2 weeks before the show. So that there's going to be some opportunity. That's why I say there's two parts to this. The second part is more interesting to me, but let me touch on the first part first. So the thing is, Okay, so let's say I'm a dealer and I sense the vibe in the room. Dave's favorite phrasing. But I go in and I'm looking around and I do see some of those dealers who look a little antsy. They look like they want to offload this merchandise and they're at the point where like they're panicked about it. They're basically willing to do that race to the bottom. You know, dealers get to deal with other dealers first. They get first dibs. So if I sense weakness and I'm a dealer who has some liquidity, I'm a dealer who has some resources, why the hell wouldn't I buy it at the super discounts? Yeah, like let me go get it. By the way, Mike, by the time you show up, your deals are gone. I already bought them all. Just logically, as a businessman, if I sense the opportunity to buy the merchandise cheap, why wouldn't I do that? And then my cost basis is super low. I'm winning. It's like, all right, I'll sell it to you. I'll sell it to you for below current eBay comps, but you're going to pay higher than you thought you were because I'm not going to lose money on merchandise I just bought. What's the point?
Did Mike pull an Andy? No, we won't get into that. Okay.
Yeah. But here's the interesting thing. But I'm just saying, from a logical perspective, though, if you're a dealer and you sense that kind of weakness, would you not take advantage of it? Does that not seem like a perfectly logical thing for you to do as a business person?
Sure, and people are looking up to some of these influencers and following their shows. They listen to what they say and a few other people say, so it can confuse people, or collectors, especially new people who've been in only a year or so.
Yeah, for sure. And good evening, Josh. Just including his comment on here. The reason I pose it, though, is just from, I like to go from an area of logic. Like, let's start with some logic. This is where I like to start. Because I'm like, okay, so if you're thinking that, wouldn't dealers think of that too? And I'm sure some of them would. And some of them would be like, right, sounds like cheap merchandise to me. By the time you open the door and come in, it's like, yeah, your cheap stuff. They'll still, by the way, just so we're clear, there will be an opportunity to make deals. There will be dealers who will negotiate with you. Let's not portray a false narrative here. There will be folks that work with you. Some of them will hold fast, like every other card show in the history of the world.
Pretty much. Since
the dawn of time. There are some dealers who are content to have a museum. You get to look, and unless you pay the ridiculous price, they would rather just cart the stuff home. They're paying for the privilege of showing you the stuff they have that they will never sell you. Those dealers exist. And if they come to this show, they will continue to operate the same way they've always operated, most likely. But because they've already paid this price, they've paid for this table. So why would they deviate from the plan now if that's their intention in the first place? They're stubborn for a reason.
You know, the table, the food, the transportation, the hotels, you know, all of that is included. It's quite an expense if you have one or two guys that you have to pay to be there as well.
Absolutely.
So it's a fairly decent expense. So you can't be holding too long.
No, I get you, but let me take it. Let me take an alternative path on it. And we're still on the first point. I'll get to the second one in a second. But on the first point, let me take an alternative path. Let's assume you're convinced by this wonderful argument. You're a dealer. Well, in that case, what's the point of me even setting up? It would actually cost me. So I get to set up, pay for the travel, cart my stuff over, so that I can sell everything at a loss. Sounds great. Yeah, sign me up. Let's do it. No, that sounds like a garbage idea. Like I'd actually lose less money not going. That actually sounds like a terrible idea. I'd rather make some eBay auctions then. Like, why bother? If the sentiment came across, and we've got a couple of weeks, and we got a show coming up. The Dallas show is this weekend, I believe. Yeah. So we're gonna get like a litmus. Like I said, each one of these is a barometer leading us into the national. Some of these dealers do travel from one of these shows to another. So what's gonna happen is, I think some of the dealers is gonna operate business as usual. They'll make adjustments. But some of the points, and Jeremy in the past has made the argument that some of these dealers are in at these lower price points. Like, that's right. However, if you go in and you're at this low price point and you already had the chance to make this money and you sold off the merchandise already, sold off the cards and you made your profit, the new stuff you're buying in, if you bought it at a higher level, your price point is now higher. So like you no longer have the cheap cards that you were able to sell at that better deal. Now you sold them, made good money, made your profit. And now the next, to bring more stuff back in, you actually had to pay more. So the fact that prices have gone back down means that you'd be selling at a loss too. And while you do need to sell a certain amount to justify the travel, that doesn't mean you want to take a bath on everything, because if the same way that you never go broke taking a profit, you can indeed go broke taking a loss on every single sale. If you just sit there and just take loss and loss and loss, then why are you even sitting? It would cost you less to close the doors, proverbially, so to speak.
But many are going to lose anyways. because they bought it too high of a price.
Agreed.
So what do they sit there and wait that out? Going back up 50-60%. Well, good luck with that.
No, but the thing is, you don't need it to go 50-60%. Here's the thing. The race to the bottom thing only works if enough people are willing to sell off. And my first scenario was, if you're really willing to go that cheap, then another dealer can come by and buy it from you. They'll just buy out your table then. If you really want to sell it, I'll just buy the whole table. You're gone. So then by the time the collectors get there, the table's empty. What happened? Well, the table got bought out. Yeah, the great discounts, they're already gone. The fire sale already happened. You just weren't there. Sorry.
Missed
and
the
then
fire.
And the next guy is like, yeah, I'll sell it to you for 30 or 40% higher. And it's like, but I don't want to do this. No problem. You can walk the show aisle and just look at everything and not buy anything. And some of them may accommodate you. I won't necessarily do it. It's not going to be across the board a race to the bottom. Not everybody's going to play that game.
Yeah.
But other videos, they were showing that, people said, nah, I really can't go that low. I'm going to wait for it to come up. Then why bring it?
No, exactly.
Why bring those items? Because I see that probably in 10 different videos where there's no deal because, no, I bought it too high. No. So why even put it out there? You think somebody's going to trade you for it with that much more that you want for it? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. So Ken here is here as well. So good evening, Ken. And Sanderson here saying a big show in Atlanta this weekend. So there you go. You'll have another show as well. So I'm curious. I'll keep an eye on those. I'd be curious to see kind of the feedback coming out of those shows because that's going to be part of this too. So that's the first piece. I think some of the dealers, if that was to come to pass, again, let's play it out the way they say. I think some of the dealers would take advantage of that. That'd be the first thing I'd think about. Now, here's the second part. This is the part that's more interesting to me. The first part, yeah, great. No. The second part's more fun for me. Okay, so now they've tipped their hand. Bench Clear has stood on the side of, guys, it's going to be a bloodbath. The end is nigh. The end of days have arrived. It is over. Okay, cool. Question. You've left almost 2 weeks. What about the Positive Hobby Squad? Are now going to have... Talk about the infinite content loop. This is the part that I'm waiting... This is the part that... So, what you have to understand... So, really quick, let me present my position on this. As a collector, I have no problem if the prices go down. I also have no problem if the prices go up. I can operate in whatever market. I will adjust and adapt. I'm good with it either way. However, when I sit down and I think about the potential infinite content loop, and I think about the takes that will come off of this that are going to try to counter that, and then of course the people will be like, no, I agree with Mike because of da-da-da, and the back and forth. Me, as the person who just kind of sits back in kind of the back here and just reports on it, well, my feelings could pretty much be encapsulated in this. Yep, pretty much. That's pretty much basically what was going on around my house.
Mm-hmm.
Ted DiBiase is bang on. Mm-hmm. He knows his stuff. Like, that dude knows. That was basically that was a reenactment. Ted DiBiase reenacting me around my house. Probably with the $1 million belt and everything. It was just like, yep, that's basically what I was doing around here, just cackling. I was like, I lose nothing. This is great. It is the golden era, Bobby. The golden era has arrived.
And there's nothing wrong with that. We collect because we're hardcore collectors. And, our collecting isn't investing. We understand that there's money put in, but the money put in is the investment to possess the item. Whether we lose on it or gain on it, it's inconsequential. Mm-hmm. We just sit there and we add it to our collection and we move forward. But I understand that people are a lot of the new people who got into the hobby. We're looking into the investment part of it. Yeah, everybody loves Kobe. Everybody loves all these players. Yeah, I don't really think a lot of them are that hardcore hobby. It's they treat slabs like playing cards.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like there's no look at this Gordie Howe and hand it to you nicely. It's just like a piece of slab. So
sure.
There is that difference, and that's that dividing line. Not that there's anything wrong with either side. Just saying, if it all goes bust, we're soft.
No, for sure. And I'll quickly grab a couple of these ones. Show me, I think, enjoyed the $1 Million Man. Bring me another hobby show that brings you the $1 Million Man cackling. Show me.
Maybe next week.
Yeah. Did you like that one, Dave?
Loved it.
Yeah, there you go. I was like, as soon as this whole thing came up, I was like, I think YouTube can handle this business. So I cut that clip. I have to give credit to whoever came up with it originally. They did a 1 minute supercut of $1 Million Man cackling. It's like, well, I only need a couple of seconds of this. A minute is a bit excessive. Let me grab less than 10 seconds. I think that's solid. That will now be a mainstay of the show. When the time is right, the $1 Million Man will come by. So thank you to Ted DiBiase for joining us tonight. So appreciate the cameo appearance. Yeah, so, NFT that moment indeed.
So Dave, when the prices went up and the prices came down, how were you affected? You could buy less, obviously, when the prices really went up and the price come down, or we're back down to sort of almost a normal. Does that affect your collecting much?
No, I will pay what I can and what I think is fair. I will overpay on some of the rarer stuff if I don't see it often enough, but I'm not gonna do what's his name, Fry from Futurama, and just take my money for like some PSA 8 Zion Williamson Panini Prism card. Why? If it's something we've talked about it before, if it's something you know is rare, even in the knick-knack and trinket world, or it's rare serial numbered in the card world, or something you just haven't seen in a number of years or decades, we're going to put forth those fiduciary commitments to those cards or those items because you've been in the hobby. You're not watching Daps Man with all his broken brilliance.
By the way, a recent video, Daps Man was in Daps Manius form. It was wonderful. It was splendid. And again, Justin Herbert. For some reason, Justin Herbert is where he gets lost in this. Like, it's special. Please continue, Dave.
That you know the hobby, or you at least know the market of your player or what you collect, or you at least have a good generalization of that. And you're not just wandering aimlessly into a field, hoping there's not like a bear trap out there, there's a cliff, landmine snipers. You're not walking blindly. You know what you're looking for and you know what you want to buy, and you basically have a baseline for the price you have that you're willing to commit, not just throwing money. Oh man, that's a RJ Barrett card. Oh wow, there's a Kobe Select green that's numbered to like 40,000. Well, I'll take that for like $2,000. That's a great card. No, it's not. It's a nice card, but the price or the money you're putting on it will never be feasible. And again, even we think this way, it is not a solid investment. Just because somebody hands me 50,000 shares of Enron stock for $100, even now, that's not a good investment. You're not going to see a return on something if you're just foolhardily throwing money on the ground and hoping that the money sticks to something that's valuable or decent.
Yeah. I think I had this thing, it's 5, 5, and 5. I guess, how many people out there would pay $5,000 for a card in the last 5 years, or 5 cards in the last 5 years? So there's my 555 question to anybody in the audience. It just tells you what levels we're all at here. Like,
are you talking? Sorry. So just so I understand your question, are you saying
$5,000 card, five different cards in the last 5 months, 5 years? 5 years. Let's just put it at 5 years. So, what would be a percentage point of the people out there that we're talking about? Let's just say the subscribers out there in this world of podcasting. Yeah, there's exceptions to the rule. However, for the most part, I would have to say, Dave, you bought a $5,000 card in the last 5 years? Carlos.
At the rate it's going, one of the cards will become 5,000. I won't have to do a damn thing, but I didn't pay 5,000 for it. No. But the reason I'm asking your question is that, okay, so let me make sure I understand. No, I have not bought a $5,000 card, but is your question, would I?
Yes.
Or just, yes, I would.
Okay.
If I get to choose the card and I'm being picky about what I'm doing, there are cards that I would pay 5,000 for, with the understanding that if I go and buy a couple of these, I know they will appreciate, but I can sit on them indefinitely. Now, if you're saying that I need to do something within short order and you say, oh, you've got to react, basically, if I day trade, well, then I'm not going to play in those waters. There's no reason to.
Yeah, you took it forward. That's fine. And
the reason why I want a clarification on the question. In the past, no, I have not, because it hasn't been within the budget, but it also hasn't been necessary. I'm fortunate in the sense that for what I collect, I do not need to pay $5,000 for anything, unless I just feel like wasting $5,000. I can take a card that's $500 and pay $5,000 for no reason, but it's not required. I can actually get what I want within a reasonable, amount.
Yeah. So that just puts us all in a certain bracket, so to speak, of where we are in our collecting, and where the mass amount of people out in the hobby are collecting at that $5,000 level and under. Certainly, you know, I've paid. Have I bought something 5,000? Yes, but it was a group lot, so it's a little different. I was talking singular card here, but over the past 5 years, probably nothing over 5,000. No. Oh yeah, sorry, one thing, forgot about that. But that just tells you where
so guys,
we're
now
at.
you know where the Charizard PSA 10 is. At the bottom of the screen there. Just here where.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy it off of
Sasha T.
Maybe.
Come on, like that right there. That's a video right there.
So when you go around watching all the videos, I just try to put it in perspective here. You know, we see all these things that are, you know, they're talking about, oh, this one's 40,000, this is 50,000. It's just like blah 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 blah. I don't even know what they're saying. It's just like, okay, like when am I going to have to unless I open a box and I can't even afford that box? Because who's going to pay, you know, $3,000, $5,000 for a box for a chance? Like that is like, whoo, boy, that's worse than a slot machine. That's
yeah. Now the thing is, you could, and it would require a lot of flipping, but you could get to that with flips if that was your intention. If you were just sitting there like, I want to buy a $5,000 thing, you start off with a $100 card, you make a little bit on this one, buy some more, and you just keep doing. Over a period of time, you would be at a stage like I think of it in poker terms. You start off at the low level table, and if you play what you're doing well enough, you eventually move up your bankroll up until the point you play at the bigger table. But with cards, what you're basically doing, though, is the reason I gave my specific qualifier is, could I play at that table? If there was a $5,000 card that for whatever reason I needed, I could go buy it. I have the ability to do that. However, there is no $5,000 card I need. So it's like the card doesn't exist. It's not that there aren't $5,000 cards. It's that there's nothing I need for my collecting purposes unless I just said, okay, I want this $5,000 card. But it wasn't on my radar. It wasn't the inability to get it. It was just, why?
well, no, and that's perfect because that really fits into the thing. It's like how many people are even at that level.
Yeah, no, I get it.
With their collecting, you know, you can work your way up. You can do the Sasha T 5 to 65 times, and you probably end up, you know, having that money eventually over time.
I've got things sitting in those boxes that if I decided to just go in, it's like, hey guys, let's do some Instagram sales. I want to sell this and this and that. Well, guess what? There'd be $5,000 in the PayPal. We're ready to go. It wouldn't take me very long. I've got cards that have certainly appreciated that I would actually be profitable on every card, and I could end up with $5,000 in PayPal. Let's rock. But I have nothing that I would buy with that $5,000 that I require for my purposes.
Yeah, unless it was an investment. That's
correct.
All.
It would have to. That's right. It would have to be if I'm spending
that takes that out of the equation. Really, it
has to be something that in turn makes me money.
Yeah.
Because if I'm putting that much money into one thing, part of the reason that I am in that position where like the values don't bother me is that my next mortgage payment is not hinging on the current market. My financial stability is neither hindered nor elevated by the increase. My collection has gone up in value over the years. If I sold it, I could do well, but I don't need the money.
I guess what I'm sort of getting to is that the people that are watching those videos where that one went for 40,000, this one went for 20,000, they're really talking to themselves for the most part. It's just I know it's setting setting levels and comps and what have you, but you know, you're really talking to nobody at that point, because like it's like potential what you could have if you did work your. Yeah, I get it. It's a little misleading, but anyways, that was bothering me the other day, so I just thought I'd pop that out there.
No, by all means. It's stuff like that. If you want to get it off your chest, you're more than welcome to. So it's like, finish the door. Good line. I like it. And you are correct. #facts. #facts. For a lot of people, that would be
at least we're honest here, right?
Yeah, that would be fact. But I'm also trying to look at it from the perspective of I do understand. That's why I enjoy watching some of these vlogs and stuff. Like, look, I enjoy watching it from the perspective of like, hey, but if, like I said, and I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. If I'm going to spend $5,000 on something, it better be something I damn well value at $5,000. There is no piece of cardboard that I personally value at $5,000. With all due respect.
And I wasn't talking about investment either.
But I'm just saying in general, for my personal purpose,
personal collection.
Yeah, so the good news is I don't need to spend $5,000 on anything because there's nothing there that I would want that is in that price bracket. However, if you said, "Oh, Carlos, well, would you spend $5,000 on anything?" Well, the answer is yes. I love my watches. I love the craftsmanship. I love that. I would pay for a fine timepiece. I've let's put it this way. I've already paid $4,500 for one in the past, so I'm not that far away. So I've already. So if you say like, "Oh, Carlos, have you paid $4,000 or $5,000?" Yeah, I bought a watch for $4,500, and I had no hesitation, and it didn't even blink. Done. But that was 10 years ago, where like I had that money, I had already saved it and done already. It wasn't an issue. I had the money. I could do that, and I still wear the watch and still have it to this day.
How much is that watch worth today?
About $6,000 or $7,000.
Whoa, investment. So he's not a real collector.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Though they discontinued those. The people who buy them now, they pay more for them. It's the way it goes because models for popular lines that become discontinued become collector's items down the road. I bought it when it was still the current model at that time.
So you didn't care about, investment. You just wanted the piece, and it went up. Great. If it went down, it's great.
I have watches that have gone down. It just so happened that one was a popular piece at the time, and then became more popular after it got discontinued.
There's a cost to the possession of it.
Correct.
If you have something in your collection for 5 years, I know guys say, "Oh, I wouldn't sell it for this amount. I paid this much then. I have to get twice as much today." It's like, you get what the market gets, brother. You don't get any more or any less. It's just like, well, you just don't sell it. Well, then I won't sell it. Well, then why are you talking about getting rid of it and making some money? Okay, whatever. Let's talk the right way to each other on this one. For sure. But anyway, people are different, and just the way we're collecting. And my collection is just my collection. I invest in certain other things. I buy some extra things because the opportunity is there, and I will take that opportunity to make some money to pay for my collection. Sure, why not?
Yeah, no, for sure. But the point though of the reason why I differentiated and the reason why I gave that example is that it's not an aversion to spending money, but I have to value the thing that I'm spending money on. That was a watch that I bought myself for my birthday when I started working at the call center, which was when I started basically working full time. I had saved the money prior to that, but at that time I just started working full time, and it was like a reward to myself for going and getting that particular job. It went with the time period, and it also went with a specific occasion. That's why it's not going anywhere. It's mine. It belongs to me, and as far as I'm concerned, it stays with me. They can bury me with it. It's mine. But I've had it for more than 10 years, like years now. I forget exactly when I bought it. But the point is, like, if you do it by the year, every year that goes by, the cost per year drops, because it's like at this stage, that money's long gone, but the watch is still with me, and it's still in good condition. It runs beautifully. Like, I keep it in good shape because it's mine.
Yeah. It's funny. My collection, I think probably my favorite pieces in my collection, there's probably 2 or 3. They're really only worth about $40. They're very rare, but they're only $40 pieces.
Yeah.
And I'll take those all day. They're fun.
Yeah.
But they're hard as heck to find, and I don't think I'll ever find another one. So I'll never sell them, because who cares about the $40?
Yeah, for sure. But that's the only reason.
Here's
the only
$40.
The only reason I make the differentiation here is that it's still collection. It's a different type of collection. It's a different genre of collecting, and I have my reasons for collecting that.
Yep.
But that's the price point there. In the card world, I don't need to participate in that price point. It isn't required. And and Sanderson here talks about his caster. Here's the thing. I have an appreciation for all watches. It didn't have to be that expensive. I happened that I wanted that one because I had seen it and I lusted after it. I wanted that one. So I decided I was going to make that one happen. I saved the money to buy that one. But day to day, I'm wearing a G-Shock. This thing's like $100. I'm practical. And over here, that's a Tudor, which is the sister company of Rolex. These things were $3,500, $4,000 brand new. I got it sitting here on my desk. I wear it regularly too. So I don't have a single card, well, except for maybe that mantle. Those 2 mantles from the early 50s even come close to matching how much money these things go for. But at the same time, I paid more for these when I initially bought it. I paid way less for the mantle.
Yes.
So it's like, but it wasn't meant to be an investment. I bought it because I wanted the damn watch. That's it. Yep. And if it went down, do I care? It's like a car. It depreciates the moment you walk off the lot with it. It's worth that in the display case. The moment you walk out of it initially, you take a hit. No matter what it is, like, you almost always take a hit. Down the road, it may reverse as it becomes a collector's piece, but that's not a guarantee. I can't promise you that. It could just continue depreciating forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You just got to understand, though, that's different. In that world, those price points make sense. You're paying for the brand recognition. You're paying for the make. You're paying for the engineering involved in it some of the time, the craftsmanship in some cases. It depends. Not always, but it depends. But in cards, we're paying for cardboard. whether it's $1 or $1 million, we're still paying for cardboard. Like the cardboard doesn't change. There's no craftsman who's designing this cardboard for me.
No. They can't even cut it right.
Well, there you go.
Imagine
Exactly.
if your watch was a little off and it.
Well, that's the thing.
Talk
Like,
about precision, right?
as you go up, like when I look at some of those expensive, and I promise I'll get off the watch thing in a second, guys. I just want to make this final point here, and then we'll continue back to the infinite content circle because I love that. But as you go up to the higher price points, when you get into the hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, you know what you get? You get piece uniques. You get custom pieces, virtually custom pieces that only a handful of people worldwide have, and there's some of the companies. They do hand engraving on the movement of the watch. When you flip it on the back, you can put it under a loop or a microscope, and you can see that someone's etched everything onto there. A craftsman.
Mm-hmm.
There was work done by an individual who had to train on how to do that and had to learn how to assemble that thing. That's work. You're paying for the work. You're not. But again, a card's a card's a card. As much as I enjoy the cards, you're paying the $1 card for some of them. Had the same amount of work that went into it as the $1 million card. There's really not that much difference some of the time. It just depends. Depends on the item. So you got to understand, like, what do you value it and where's the value for you?
It's that gold stamp 1 of 5 or 1 of 1 or something. That's
exactly.
the value, right?
As long as it's stamped, that's important.
Platinum or whatever color.
Yeah, no craftsman to impeach you, that's for sure. Exactly.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so good evening, 4x4 Rubicon. Yeah, we're Rolex watches. Yeah. No, for sure. And the thing is, those ones still, people talk about them all the time. It's like, oh, they're overrated. It's like, yeah, but they still appreciate. Like, that's not my fault. I have a Datejust Rolex. That's one of the ones. That wasn't one of the ones I was talking about. I have that one as well. Like I said, I put together a little collection of them years ago, but I bought it years ago, and that one was that was a birth year watch. So that was an '83 watch that was already pre-owned. So I bought it at that time already long pre-owned, and it's like that one has appreciated. It's like, but it's old. It's like, yeah, they don't make that model anymore. They've actually modified a little bit here and there, not huge changes. They've kept the concept the same, but it's what happens. Eventually the collectors down the road, they're like, actually, I want one from that era. Well, then they have to pay extra because some of them haven't survived. There's your organic scarcity. It's like, yeah, you can buy a new one in the store, but it'll cost you twice or 3 times as much as the pre-owned one cost back then.
Yep.
It's appreciated.
It's going to be a good show. We've talked watches and wrestling. Carlos is happy.
Listen, the $1 Million Man is always right, Bobby. The $1 Million Man is always right. There's no time where the $1 Million Man doesn't fit.
Time. Okay.
Exactly. But yeah, the thing is that when they brought up this topic, I thought it was interesting, but also kind of playing into Dave's point as well. It is a little self-serving. I like it, but it is a little self-serving. It makes for a good topic, but it is self-serving, isn't it? Coming from a guy who would benefit. It's like, yes, you may as well have just made a video. Seriously, guys, this is trash. Burn it all.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, really? Coming from you, this is what we're going to go with? I like it. Hence why I was cackling around the house when I saw the video. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Mr. Bob Lewis, good evening for Dave Archer's appearance fee. Love it. Good times. Good evening, Bob.
Right on. Super chat.
Well, that video's coming off the heels of a wild weekend of success. Hobbypalooza. I mean, just keep riding that train or riding that rocket to the moon.
Oh, I know.
Okay, so let me ask a serious question since I can see there's folks hanging out in the chat. By the way, Bob, you have a link if you want to pop in and say your 2 cents personally. You're more than welcome to, or you can continue lurking in the background. Your call. But
continue our Hobbypalooza.
We got to have our Hobbypalooza coverage, of course. Listen, Bob was a part of Hobbypalooza. He did a thing.
It's funny. Hello, ring, ring.
It was
Listen, that was at least some middle school acting there. That was some high end stuff, guys. At least middle school. I remember those skits well.
Top tier middle school.
Oh, elite middle school. Elite middle school. Absolutely. I agree with that. That's a valid point. So let me ask the chat though, because I know a lot of you guys have opinions on this as well. So let me pose the question to you. Okay. The bottom line was, the premise is that because of the way the market is and what's going on with it and everything, that, basically they're predicting a fire sale at the National. Does that make sense to you guys? Like, I gave the reasons why I think that might be, again, even if it's true, maybe you won't get your chance to get your hands on it. That's scenario one. Or scenario two, some people may be more inclined to be like, look, I would rather just forfeit the table fee if that's true than even show up. It would cost me less to do that if I'm just going to lose money on all of it, right?
Who else said that though?
So right now, those guys are the ones that have just kind of gotten that ball rolling on that idea, and they're playing off of the economy thing. And like I said, it's a continuation of Ty doing the conversation about the Wells Fargo thing in the States, where they're going to reduce. And what really precipitated this video, and they cited it on there, the name escapes me, but there was a guy who did a video talking about how he had bought cards on credit,
Yes,
and how it almost ruined his life and everything, and obviously, you can expect to hear more about that. There is going to be an element of that. Is that enough to topple the market, to collapse the market, as the title stated? Is that enough people who played that game?
I put $4,000 on his credit card.
But that's what I mean. That's small potatoes.
Yeah,
like
that's
if you lose all the $4,000, guys, is that really going to collapse the market and just make the national a liquidation event? Like, I feel like you're reaching. I think you went a little far with that one.
It wasn't $40,000. It was $4,000.
Yes. It's like
It didn't even reach my $5,000 card limit.
All right, here you go, bro. Here you go. Like,
Yep.
yeah, here you go. Damn. What was I thinking?
I don't know.
It's been 10 years. It's too late for me to return it. Damn. Yeah. Yeah. YouTube masters follow these words. Now, let me pose the question. So, okay, sounds good, Bob. Sounds good. Let me pose a follow-up question then. And by the way, you guys can still comment on this. I'm just curious your opinions. And, one way or the other, I'm just curious what you guys think. The second question I would pose to you is then, does this lead now to the reaction video? Do we now get a series of reaction video from the super positive side of the hobby being like, they were so mad when Andy suggested that he didn't want to go to the National, but they pretended that he said nobody should go to the National. And now you're saying, yeah, go to the National where you'll lose money.
It worked out for Andy, but maybe it's not working out for them.
I was like, interesting. Interesting.
Andy got on everywhere. Hey, why don't we?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm just curious. Like, it seems a bridge too far. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it feels like we went from, 0 to 150. Forget about 0 to 60. We went 0 to 150 in like half a second. Now you're going to have some folks, I feel, that are going to like respond strongly, because it's like, wait a minute, we're trying to tell everybody the National's great, the National's awesome, you should all go to the National, but at the same time, we also like making money.
Yep.
It's like,
So Andy gets kind of run out of town for a couple days there, and what's going to happen to these guys? Are they going to get any backlash, do you think?
well, I don't know if it'll be backlash. So here's what makes it interesting, okay?
Sure.
So traditionally, when we think about the folks that we know, that's hardly the only people, but when we think of folks that would like
Dave, Steve,
strongly
Bob.
argue, yeah, but if we think about folks that would strongly argue for positivity in the hobby at all times, who would be one of the people you think about?
Dave? No, not Dave.
Not quite, almost. But not
Carlos. I didn't even mention your name.
I have the $1 Million Man clip. I can. Do not make me bring back the $1 Million Man clip.
Bob Lewis.
Sure, yeah. Bob Lewis is an example.
I will give it to Bob.
Yeah.
Steve. No.
Almost, not quite. No.
Jaylee.
Maybe. Who had Mike on his show last week?
Wow. There you go.
So it's like,
Did he say it then?
the timing on this is vaguely interesting? Question mark?
Mm-hmm.
Just seems kind of fun. Yeah, I touched on it. I actually posed that question a little bit last week, Bob. I just threw it out there because I was thinking about it already. But then again, Ty from Breaker Culture, funny enough, brought up the whole Wells Fargo thing. And then I was thinking about that. It's like, yeah, couldn't folks that look at the price point, they say, okay, it's going to cost me X amount to get all this stuff graded. I don't have the money. And the cards aren't going to sell for what I thought they were going to sell. Or even if they PSA 10, they're worthless now.
And I can't grade it because PSA's closed still.
No, but I mean people that already have the cards at PSA.
I know.
So it's like, why don't I just change my stuff and cancel the card?
Yep.
So it's like, it would strike me as a different strategy, a different way of going about it. So let me quickly get caught up on a couple of these comments here. There will be some people at the National that are so deep in debt they won't want to recoup. Yeah, that's exactly. I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Ziggy was having a bit of a rant. That is true. Yeah, those back pages. I'd be curious to see if he would do something. Yeah. Sports Card Live. That's right. Good evening, Filmington. Thank you for popping in. Like button slammed. Thank you, Filmington. Appreciate that. Slams the like button. All right. I don't think a dealer who's setting up at this national type of susceptible fire sales. That's kind of the reason I posed the question. It's like I think some of them would not be so inclined at doing that with experience highs and lows and capital backing them. Again, if you have the capital, why would you panic? If it turns out this is the case, maybe you become a buyer and you just don't sell. And you're just like, okay, I'll use this as a buying show then. I will find my buyers elsewhere because if I'm a long-time dealer, I probably have contacts and buyers. So you know what? If you guys just will not give me something that I can work, I'm not in the business of selling everything at a loss. Because if I'm willing to sell at a loss, I can clear out my table, but it's like, okay, so I paid to do this.
Or won't there be a record number of new time dealers there, though?
Oh, sure. No, I'm with you. But what I'm getting at is that's not an across-the-board thing. Would those dealers have enough inventory to move the market? Or would the dealers that remain sit there and be like, yeah, okay, so you already bought them out. They're all gone now. Discounts are over. Discounts are done. I bought my stuff first, and then you guys got the scraps of what was left, and now normal prices.
Leave your Pelican brief at the door, please.
That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm suggesting here. Bob Lewis's chair chiming in. The real brains behind that operation. Bob would have another existential crisis about. Correct.
I almost turned off his video right at the beginning because that guy was crunching so loud on whatever. It's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah. No, that's my argument too, Jeff. I would think that some of the capitalized dealers would take advantage. If there's supposed fire sales, I would think they'd be buyers at that point. I'll be at the National. I also go to a lot of local shows. I honestly feel there are never any deals at shows compared to eBay. I think shows in general are more about the experience. No, that's fine. We're not having this, go or don't go. I'm not having that discussion right now. My question is from the dealer perspective, is there, would they be inclined or feel compelled to sell stuff at a loss just to sell stuff? I just don't feel like that's the case for a lot of these dealers who have some experience. They'd be like, no, we'll ride this out. Why? Why wouldn't we? Yeah, Nationals request a like of Sasha T. The thing is, I don't know if Sasha T would go. I don't think they're even going. So, I don't think it matters. And don't forget, at one point I'll make, don't forget Burbank is opening a new destination shop right around that time of the National. So don't be surprised. Again, I don't know their final plans, but don't be surprised if Burbank isn't possibly already, they're just not going to be a presence at that show. And there's the people in the Los Angeles area. So if you're Sasha T and maybe you're a little concerned about the flipping, just stick at Burbank. You're home away from home. Just go there. You don't really need to go to the National then. You can still do your work because there'll still be people around in LA that will just hang out at that shop because it could be interesting. People will be walking around asking people if they want to buy their cards. They won't buy a table. Yep, absolutely.
So Jeff Smith says about the fire sale. What kind of fire sale would there be from February prices or from last week's prices or before it goes any further? Or does it go back up because of the National? It's a interesting thing to predict.
Not for sure. Yeah, so putting in here, waiting list to set up the show. No, I'm with you. Yeah, agreed on the last points. Phil agrees with those. Pretty sure Burbank is a national exclusivity to buy. No, I'm with you, 100%. I'm just saying from the little bits I've caught here and there, it feels like Burbank is a little lukewarm on even doing more than even a token. He might send one of the deputies. Burbank himself might not even show. It'd be one of those deals where it's like, yeah, okay, we'll at least look around, but we're not going to spend a lot of time there. It's going to be just a thing that we're doing almost as a token gesture to be like, okay, look around and see if you see anything interesting to buy for the store.
Yeah, that would probably be it.
It's not going to be like this elaborate thing because again, they're doing their own thing. They've got their own business stuff to focus on. Why wouldn't they? Right? They're
a big store with a big eBay presence. I don't think the National missing one for them would hurt them in the least.
Yeah, and even if and let's pretend again, let's play devil's advocate and let's pretend that they get their big liquidation event. Quotation marks, patent pending. But if they get their big liquidation event, it's like, okay, so great. Then they're buyers, and then they can sell their own thing. So awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So why not? Yep, Akunas. Yep, that's the one I'm referring to. It's Sasha T video. So it's like, again, we'll see what the final result ends up being. But But like I said, I am curious. Anything that happens, there will be people who have the experience who will suddenly adjust. They'll look around the room and see what's happening and be like, okay, so now is the time to buy. Or maybe now is the time to sell or whatever. Or I'll sell some of this stuff at a reasonable price. Here you go. You can have some of this stuff. But this other stuff is like, no, I'm holding firm on it. I'll just sell enough to justify the table, and other than that, you're not. So basically, if you didn't get it in the first couple of days, you're not getting anything.
Yeah. And getting in there, it's sort of like the expo. When dealers set up, they're going around doing deals before the guys even get in there.
Exactly.
Half the great deals are gone. Yeah. People don't even realize that.
And that's normal card show behavior. Like, that's normal. Like, the dealers will do deals at the show.
That's why I became a dealer. What are you guys kidding?
Yeah. But that was always the thing, is that dealers have the opportunity to set up, like, because if you can already make some money before the show doors have even opened, like, your job is to make money. Like, you're not specifically worried about, like, oh man, what if the people coming in the show feel bad that they didn't get first dibs? It's like, did I make my money? Yes. Now I have some cash potentially to buy some stuff. Maybe they bring some stuff to me and I buy some merchandise. And while I'm there, then I can resell that merchandise. Like, there's different ways to go about it. It's not like one size fits all, but maybe you sell some stuff first. It just depends.
And there's the hotel room deals beforehand. And
yeah.
It used to be the expo was good. In the last 5 years, getting there early doesn't really mean much anymore. Years ago, when they used to come up from the U.S. a lot more and bring new stuff that you hadn't seen before, and they weren't such a presence on eBay, you'd see a lot of great stuff. Now, not so much.
I'm with you. I get it. I'm not sure what Paul's going with here. He might have played on the keyboard a little bit too much. So Bless and Breaks here really wants a video on the do's and don'ts of the National. Let me take it into consideration. I'll give some thought to it. It's like, I don't know, Dave. I feel like you're the guy to give that. I think, do we not already have the definitive video on the do's and don'ts of the National?
I think so. Repetitively.
By the way, just so we're clear, wear comfortable shoes. If you don't think that walking on a hard surface, if you need this explained to you,
somebody says that again,
you're beyond our help. Like, stop for a second. I'm the guy who played the $1 Million Man clip, but let me be serious for a moment. If you think this is a necessary piece of advice, you're telling me your viewers are idiots. Like, this is not, no, wear spike shoes, wear baseball cleats, wear the hardest soled shoes you can find with steel toe boots, anything that's heavy, put some ankle weights on.
Maybe we're missing something because the sneaker kids know more than us.
Like, find the most uncomfortable shoes you can, put some ankle weights on, put a body weighted vest on, and then do that and walk around. And don't drink any water either. Don't do it.
Yeah, that's.
And then when you pass out, blame somebody else.
Wear some Birkenstocks or something like that.
It's like, guys, I know some of these folks are new, but for goodness sake, how about just look at the floor and think about what would happen if you walked on it for a while, and then and then from there, decide what you should do. I'll have some faith in you. Go for it. Make it happen.
Well, they're sitting behind their computer all day, so
exactly.
Being out walking around a show, whew,
I know, take
a toll.
Yeah. So what you need is like much like the hot dog vendor. Oh, sorry, the meat guy at the expo. You know who'd be the good guy? So the ones instead of that though, you go to the card show and you have the stack of shoe boxes, and you bring nothing but Ultra Boost. It's like, so replace your shoes, buy these, and here are the comfortable shoes. I will sell them to you. Fools.
Yes.
I got a full size run. I got a full size run of Ultra Boost. Here you go, guys.
We have a sausage guy at the show, Dave. He probably makes more than most dealers.
Yes,
honestly, because everyone goes, Bobby, hey, you want a sausage? Packages of those little pepperette kind of sausages, kind of things. And I hate them. It's that European meat. I don't really dig it. Some I like, but there's a couple of guys right beside him, like Ed, just beside him. I go, Ed, right beside him, you like that smell all day long? He goes, yeah, it doesn't bother me. I went, yeah. Okay, Ed, no problem. I said, no, I wouldn't be in the same aisle as this guy. But he's killing it there. I'm getting into cards and getting into pepperettes.
Dude, like that was obvious. So here, Personal Finance, Dad. Good evening, Dustin. Beef's First National. Assume there'll be some dealers offering good deals and some won't. Correct. Assuming in addition to collectors looking for deals as well as high low as well with some money. Yes, absolutely. So here we go. One guy here goes with no stock to sell, buys from others prior to the show opening for stable stock. Yeah, that's fair. Exactly. Just quickly getting caught up here on the comments. Curious if the big deals were bouncer types to enforce etiquette around the booth. I would love that. And I want that vlogged for my benefit. So quickly, Filmington. Smaller shows are carpeted. Only thing I can think of. Absolutely. Moses walked around barefoot. So did the national creators. And I can see you, Victor. Just give me 2 seconds to get caught up here. Walk the floor before buying anything. Wear deodorant. Yes, that's generally good hygienic advice. So yes, agreed with you, Korean Cardboard. Snowshoes all day, all night. Correct. SCA Sports Cards. Haven't seen you before. Good evening. Sold on eBay for the last decade. This month has been a high for low dollar cards. The boom was about the high dollar. Fair. Okay, here we go. Yeah, unless they're military issue. Correct, Yannick. Yes. Here we go. $600 in Chicago in 2019. So here's some of the cards they picked up. Koufax was in 1960. Gotcha. Yep. No, that I guarantee, Jeff. There is some hygienic issues at these card shows. Here's the sad thing: there should be reminders of it, but you would hope there wouldn't need to be, but there does need to be. So, Victor, if you're good, just nod your head, and I can bring you on the screen here.
That's Perfect. Where I'd rather smell the sausage guy than some of the other.
That goes without saying. So, good evening, Victor, rookie card specialist. How you doing?
Good evening, everybody.
Hey, Victor. How you doing?
Hey, Bobby. Carlos, first time caller. Love your show.
Sounds good, Victor. Appreciate it. Enjoy your stuff.
Stop by. I talk to Bobby, I don't know what, Bobby, maybe once or twice a month.
Something like that.
We'll chat, and he keeps inviting me on the show, and I'm to the point where I consider Bobby a friend, and I'm like, all right, Bobby, I'm gonna come on and be a friend.
There you go. Good times. Good times. No, sounds good. So I actually do have a couple questions for you, but do you want to chime in at all on this idea? Because obviously this one it's just an interesting topic. I do enjoy it from the perspective of, it does get you to thinking, and you are going to the National, so this could be kind of interesting. Let me pose this first. It's like I said, so I explained to Victor earlier, not an interview show, but I want to ask questions that are going to facilitate conversation. And since you just got in here, let me give this one to you first. As a person who's going to National, what are your expectations? Like, what would you think you're going to see? Do you think there's going to be, these are two extremes we're talking about. I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. Do you expect to see people kind of trying to move things and being a little bit more flexible with prices? Do you expect some people to be hardline, some people to be a little bit, get this out of my hands? Or do you think it's going to be a liquidation event?
Man, it's hard to say. I do know, I think I think it's going to be so crowded, full of people, that it's going to be almost unbearable to even walk around. Mm-hmm. As far as, stuff selling, it's hard to speculate. I mean, it can go either way, really, Carlos, if you think about it.
Oh, no, I agree with that. But like I said, Mike decided to take a stab at it, and they are convinced. They made 2 videos on it, Victor. They made a part 1 and a part 2. So they're really digging their heels on this.
Yeah. Well, they made some valid points, but at the same time, maybe overreached, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll wait and see. I really can't say, man. I don't know.
That's fair enough. So from your perspective, let's assume it's more of a regular show. It's a bit of a mixed bag. Let's thread the middle. Let's just play that line. So assuming there'll be some dealers who will deal with you, and some of them who will be ridiculous, and then you can walk away and deal with somebody else. So, which is the norm in most markets in the hobby. Are you some stuff you're targeting for your collections behind you? Some stuff you're thinking about? Are you mostly there kind of to hang out and talk to some folks, meet some people? What are your thoughts?
My goal really is really the social aspect and I guess the networking side of things. My secondary goal is going to be to interview. I want to interview some older collectors and dealers, and I'm seeking out guys who've been around 30, 40, 50 plus years. Mm-hmm. And I want to bring a series of questions to them that I have. I want them to just fill in the gaps for me and help me understand a little bit more clearly issues about the rookie card, especially prior to 1980. I really would love to get some insight on that side of it. Mm-hmm. And as far as purchases are going to go, I'm doing something that's really outside the box for what I normally do at the National. But I'm going to be shopping for stuff for the set registries, but it's going to be more freestyle, just whatever grabs my attention, whatever my gut is telling me to go with, and that's how I'm gonna approach it, at least for the first day or two, and then we'll reassess after that.
Sure. Yeah, and I think look. So here's the thing: I've avoided doing any videos because, like I said, I have full disclosure. I've never gone to the National. The appeal for me is limited. Doesn't mean I wouldn't go under the right circumstances, if it's the right scenario, the right place, the right time. Sure. But for me, it's like I understand what they get at when they describe it and everything. It's like you're describing to me a very big show. That's what you're really describing to me, and I'm with you, and I get it. But it's one of those things, and maybe it's more the mentality I come into the hobby with. And Dave and a couple of folks, they make fun because I'll get some nice cards that I add to my collection, and I never do I don't do backflips. I don't jump for joy. Like it's one of those things. Like I bought it with intention. I knew what I was buying. I was here to do something. And even with all the advice to be like, oh, make the relationship with I understand, totally with you. But I got to be honest with you. I'm very transactional when I'm at a card show. Like, look, man, I'm out here to do a thing. There are people I'm going to hang out with. And at our local show, when we do the expo here, there are dealers that I know personally. So I'm actually behind the table hanging out. When I'm hanging out chatting, I'm hanging out chatting on the other side of the dealer table. They're selling their wares, but in between some downtime here and there, we're sitting there just shooting the breeze.
Nice.
That's where I'm hanging out. They have a chair waiting for me, and they watch my stuff while I go off, wandering off. So it's like, if you know somebody and that's a thing you're doing, well, then you got the best of both worlds because you can leave your stuff. If you got extra bulky thing, you don't have to be carting around all over the place. Makes it easier for me to wander around the show. At the National, I wouldn't have that. So it would be a little bit more transactions. Like, look, I'd love to see you chatting with you, but it's like, how many tables we got? I was like, I'm out and about doing my thing here. Like, I'm a little busy. I do want to acknowledge here. It's like, Bobby, he's alive. He's alive. Oh my God.
Justin is still alive.
It's like old channel favorite. Justin is alive.
I have something for you, Victor.
Yeah.
Somebody just recently asked me, they said, so Bobby, when you were opening packs in 70, 71, 72, said, what rookie cards were you looking for? I said, back then, there was no rookie card. There was no focus on a rookie card. Not at all. It was not even it was just your players. It was just cards. There was no sense of a rookie card.
Right.
His first year, but nobody actually even cared if it was their first year. So that's going back 40 freaking years. So 50 years. Oh my God, 50 years. Oh shoot. Yeah. I guess not. I am old. So that's from that point of time. And anybody I talked to of my same age, we never had any thought of that. And that's as a kid. But the hobby kind of started a little bit later, just giving you a perspective of earlier time for me and my friends.
Yeah, I think right around the mid 70s is when it really started to gain some momentum.
Yeah, for sure, because you even had rookie cards on the baseball cards to get the Pete Rose, and they even said rookie on those cards specifically, but it didn't really. I don't know. It wasn't anything that was.
Well, if you're talking Pete Rose, though, you're talking. So that Pete Rose is 63, and what they did is they did the headshot thing with his. It's an ugly looking card, by the way.
Yes, it is.
It's a great card from a historical perspective,
right?
But like, it is an ugly card.
There's 2 or 4 guys on it or something.
Yeah, it's 4 guys. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Topps used to do that all the time. It used to be they used to just stack them. Like if you go Cal Ripken, he's got the version with 3 players on it, and then he's got the one from Topps Traded where it's by himself. That's the one people prefer slightly, but it's like, no, he's got a 3-player one as well. It's ugly. But they've got those.
But they didn't do that out of intent of it was just, hey, rookies, they're kind of new guys. Let's just group them together because they didn't deserve their own card.
I'd be curious. On because as you do this, to Victor's point, talking to some of those old time collectors is helpful because it's a time capsule to tell you what the thought was at the time for what they can remember. The mid 70s also was the time you started getting full-time dealers. And when you start getting full-time dealers and start doing catalogs and mail order and stuff like that, that changes the game. Yeah. Because they've got incentive to do certain, a rookie is a great marketing tactic. It's a concept, but it's also a great marketing tactic. Oh, well, this is a special card. This is the player's first card and Topps or, whatever the case may be. It was mostly Topps at that time. They still had their dominance at that point. But then by the early 80s, obviously you got the 3 manufacturers, but it's a great selling point as opposed to just being like, oh, it's this single. It's like, it's the first Pete Rose on the Topps with the 3 other guys. It's like, no, that's the rookie card.
Yeah.
It's special.
I guess that was backed up with coins and everything. First time they issued this, or the first time stamps, the first issue of a stamp. So I think we took off probably from that of collector basis, being the first of always to be the most important.
Yeah, and what my research is showing me so far is it really was around 1975, 76. There was some real popular card shows on the East Coast. where a group of collectors just started walking around these shows, specifically asking for the first year cards. And so, influence, demand starts to, kind of like today even, trends start to happen. And so people are starting to notice that more and more people are asking for the first year card. And so there was this big movement that started in the East Coast and kind of swept the nation, or swept North America, I'm sorry. But everybody was really pursuing the first year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting how that all started.
Yeah.
Now, I think what's going to be interesting, and this would be maybe a direction I'll take you, and there's something I want to touch on as well, but let's start here since we're here. This is something that I think is going to be interesting, is that because when I started doing my player collecting, when I was doing my first player collecting, the goal was to collect everything. So like that includes all of it. And one of the things I was thinking about a little bit the other day is if I started over again, if I was going to start collecting my Medanos again, would I bother with it? Would it concern me as much? And my thought process is I would probably still get the O-Pee-Chee Premier rookie, because it's still a classic one that I remember from that time period because I was collecting at that time. But beyond that, to be honest, I don't really care about the other ones. He's got 9 rookie cards, and where some interest might be, like Bowman Tiffany might be interesting. That's a parallel to it. It's a parallel set in its own box, but it's a little bit more limited. If I'm starting over again and I'm not trying to get everything, well, then I'm going to be a lot more selective. And what I'm looking for is something that's a little different. Because I did this, and I did this with the Jamie Benn. I started off with his rookie year just because it was interesting to me, but I collected his rookie year as a whole. The rookie cards happened to be part of that, but the parallels and the inserts and all that were interesting to me. But like other players that I collect, it's like, yeah, if I happen to collect some of their rookie year stuff, great. But I focus more of my attention on some of their limited other pieces. I'm looking for cards that are interesting to me for them.
Yeah.
And the rookie card, the value to me is minimal in a lot of those cases just because I don't really care about it.
Well, yeah, my thought on that is get them both, man. Get the Tiffany and the...
I can, but it's one of those things where like if I want to get some of the nicer pieces, if I spend $1 on that rookie card, it's $1 I could have spent on something else.
Yeah.
It's like at a certain point, it's like if I'm not trying to get everything, if I'm trying to get everything, well then of course. And that's what happened with Medano, is that I've got them all. I had them all for years, and then I started getting a couple of PSA 10s for the set retro just for fun, just to make it entertaining. Mm-hmm. But that's because at that point I already had them all. So it wasn't necessary, but it was just a fun little add-on. It's to make collecting amusing for me.
Right.
But that's where I'm at in my collecting now. Now it's not like any compulsion to be like, oh yeah, let me go get I don't care who it is. It's like, no, let me find the card that I think is the coolest. The Medano rookies wouldn't rank in the top 1,000 Medano cards. They don't even make the top 1,000 if I started listing them off. And I've got 2,000. So I could go from the ones I have, and they don't even make the top 1,000. So it's like, they're fine. But they were nothing special. That early 90s period, it wasn't about creativity. Right. But they had amazing rookie classes. Like the rookie class as a whole was incredible with Hall of Famers and great players and everything.
That was 90-91, right?
90-91.
Yeah, spectacular year that year.
Yeah. So if you're looking for superstars, you had tons of them. Back in those days when you opened packs, you'd pull Hall of Famer or a guy who was an all-star for years. And there were tons of those guys.
But you still have an appreciation for them, don't you? Like a nostalgic thing?
Sure. But I look at them once a year at most.
Yeah.
Like out of the cards, like I have Z folios. They go, so this is the first 10 or 11 years of his career over here.
Nice.
And the first folder has all the rookie cards. How often do you think that one gets looked at? The ones after that, 97, 98 is my favorite year. And some of those other years get a lot more of a look just because there's stuff in there that is more interesting to me aesthetically. Right. And it's also the peak apex time period of the time I'm collecting. So I'm going back to my favorite time collecting. That's what I'm looking at. But I've got the rookie cards. I got the full set. They're all sitting in that Z folio right now.
Yeah.
It's sort of a junk wax era anyways through that time. So
for sure. But that's why I use the more contemporary player where it's less junk waxy.
Understood.
But even then, it's like out of the Jamie Benn cards that I have, the ones that interest me the most, the rookie cards don't qualify. There's ones that just flat out more interesting. Now there's some rookie year ones that also were very well done that I thought were very interesting they did. But it's an aesthetic. So the collecting mantra that I'm looking for the aesthetic. Sometimes it's rarity, that's a nice bonus, but it's not necessary, but it's the aesthetic. I would rather take a common, attractive looking card than a rare, ugly card at this point.
Yeah.
If I'm going to spend the money.
I think a lot of it depends on when you started collecting too. I think like for me, it's the 80s baseball and that stuff, the term junk wax, it's I had to kind of get over it because the term used to offend me. But really, even to this day, man, there's just something about a 1980s rookie in a slab that just speaks to me, man. It's just my favorite era. Mm-hmm. And it's probably because it was the era that I started. I don't.
But that plays into exactly what I just said. You're going to favor, I think,
right,
either the era you started or your favorite era. Right. Because when I started, I did enjoy collecting, but it wasn't my favorite era because the sets they were making that late '90s period, I have an extra appreciation for them because I was already collecting for a little while. I had discerned my taste.
Yeah,
I was already collecting vintage too, so I still had a foot in that world by that point already. But I was like, those cards that they were making at that time, it was stuff that we hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
And Dave knows kind of like from that perspective, us looking at us, like at that point, it was like, so what are you guys going to come up with next? And then they would come up with something. I've never seen that before. I've never seen that before. At that time, everything was new. Every time they came up with another idea, it's like, I've never seen this before. What the heck is this?
Big difference between 1990 and 1993, isn't it?
That's right. But even from 93 to 97 to 98, because you'd go to the magazine and you look at these out. I'm like, what the heck is this? What did you do?
Yeah.
So you put it in plastic and then you die cut it. And I was like, what the heck is this?
And then there's a big difference between 70, 71, 72, 73, all the way up. So everybody's in a different era and has a different appreciation for what they enjoy.
Yeah.
So, and now we have the new collectors. So where do they fit in? You know, I understand that, you know, the base rookie card's nothing much to them. They're looking for the big money cards, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
but let me pose the question this way as well, kind of play into that idea. Let's assume, again, let's use best case scenario. Let's assume the modern guy actually is taking it from a collector perspective, not just the investment perspective, because we can take a lot of angles on it. Let's focus on the collector perspective for a second. And Dave, I want to give you first crack at this one. So we're looking at it. Maybe they're interested in the rookie card, maybe they're not. For me, if I try to put myself in the shoes of somebody starting today. If I was starting right now, even knowing what I know, would I necessarily gravitate to the rookie card? I might. But then if I've got those other variants, if I like the design of the card, I might be more interested in the more limited variant. That's where the scarcity piece can play into it a little bit, just because it's like, well, you look, it's designed, it's got the aesthetic that I want, but it's just tougher to come by. Everybody and their brother doesn't have 10 of them. It's just a little tougher. Not impossible necessarily. It doesn't have to be the toughest one, but it can be, I won't see it on every dealer booth when I go to the show. If I look at the Luca base prism, guess what? When you go to the National, Victor, if you want, instead of counting sheep, count Luca base prisms. Go for it. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
So Dave, if we were starting over again, so pretend you didn't have your 87 billion cards that you have right now in the warehouses. Would you then fixate? Again, you're going to start with a player, for example. Let's stick with player collectors. We know that world. So would you then try to get everything? Obviously, with one of ones and everything, that's an impossibility. Or would you kind of fixate on would you focus on the aesthetics and maybe the rookie card, even if you go rookie card, maybe you go rookie card parallel or an insert or something? Where would you go?
I wouldn't go as many copies, especially with the Josh Johnson. I couldn't get 40, 50 copies of a patch card or an auto due to the price in the market. I'd probably stick with one or two. Again, if I could scoop deals here and there. If it's something that really appeals to me, and I can make it work every time, I'll try to get more than one copy. But at the same time, right now, if we started over, it would be one and done, more than likely. And it wouldn't be everything. It wouldn't be, I need that Bowman draft rookie, and I need the Bowman draft gold signature parallel, which not numbered or anything. It's just a little thicker card stock, like a dummy, a decoy. I wouldn't need those. If I could get one in a trade or somebody sent it for free in like a deal and they saw my username or whatever.
Yep.
Fine. I'm not going to go actively search for those unless it's or in a lot. Let's say somebody's got an auto and there's a bunch of other base type stuff in there. Yeah, I'll do it then, but I'm not going to sit there.
Okay, cool. So let me direct the question a little bit more this way. So again, you're starting again. Do you even need a copy of the rookie card? Is that something you feel you need to be part of that collection, given that you can choose whatever direction you want to go? So you can start right from the beginning. You can go with that.
I do the Bowman Chrome draft because that time, that was the thing.
Okay.
You got any Bowman Chrome draft, you're sitting pretty. So I mean, I'd do that, but the upper deck, whatever that rookie exclusives or whatever it was, the Bowman draft, I'd probably shy away from those, or just minors. I think, I don't need them.
Yeah. So basically, you would still get one, but you'd focus your attention on the one specific one, and then you'd move on to collecting other things from the player.
Yeah.
Okay, that's reasonable. That's kind of what I wanted to. I was kind of curious because Dave is a player collector, and I kind of wanted to see. It's a fun scenario because in that scenario we're resetting. You don't have the baggage. You don't have any of the necessarily like, well, I've been doing it this way already for a while, so I may as well kind of keep rolling along. Because at this point I'm 25 years in collecting Medano. Like I kind of been doing it for a while, so it's like I've at this point I'm comfortable with the direction I've gone with it. Obviously, otherwise I could have changed direction a million times by now. But I wouldn't necessarily start again with that if I was starting from scratch. If I didn't already have that equity built in from all that time and all that effort, looking through those boxes, finding singles here, singles there, I wouldn't necessarily go through that much work again. I'd probably be a little more selective. And then it would be a lot more interesting to see what that collection would look like. It would look different.
Good.
Quickly, I'm just getting caught up on the comments here. I know the guys are talking about the we gotta talk Ziggy Palfy. So he's talking about the Canada Cup or the Islanders card. I think it's the Islanders one. I think is the one that actually ranks in there because you've got a Canada Cup rookie. I forget. They made that determination. Beckett did decide that one. Both in Czech uniform. Yeah. It's a Boston Kid here. I'm just getting caught up. Scroll through. Pelican Case Investor. Nice. So here you go. SCA's cards. Agree with Victor. His favorite year is 81. Topps Fleer. Change collecting. Even as rough as Fleer and Donruss looked. Yeah. That first year was bad for those guys. Not. You want to talk about quality control?
Ooh,
yikes. Man. Not great. Not great. Yeah. Upper Deck did change collecting. So that is true. That is true. It was very different after that. Oh my God. A bunt card. Isn't that the digital card?
Oh.
Yeah. I think that's a digital card. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what that is. No, that's fair. So let me ask you this question, Victor. And we can always come back to the rookie thing. By the way, you guys in the chat, if you've got any thoughts or questions, just feel free to throw them in there. We can definitely touch on that. I just wanted to get caught up here so we were with you. So you did the Hobbypalooza thing. That was your first go around at that thing. And you got a chance to do your thesis. How'd you find the experience? What did you like it? Is there something that you've done a little differently?
Well, I thought, it was one of them things where I approached it as who is my target audience. So I went into it with the assumption that I was talking to a new audience, and that's why I basically wanted to give the story kind of where I'm coming from. You see what I'm saying, and not coming off like. I don't want there to be a misconception out there that I'm saying that I am the expert per se, because I think, and I tried to make that perfectly clear when I changed my channel name recently, but basically a specialist, meaning somebody who has devoted their time to a specific subject. And so I think that's kind of the angle I was wanting to come from and kind of explain my story, so then that way people will know where I'm coming from. Other than that, it was my first time going live, and it was nerve-wracking to say the least.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it's not the easiest thing in the world. You got a chance to kind of see the pilot's chair, what I end up looking at. Now, did you have one screen, or did you have a couple of screens when you were doing it?
No, I just went with bare basics. I got to learn how to share screen. Do you need two screens?
You don't. Dave literally does his live streams on his phone. So you can totally do that. What I'll say is this. I guess it depends on your comfort level. I actually have two monitors. So right now, as I'm talking to you guys, I'm looking at you. I'm looking at the chat. And I've actually got the YouTube thing up there with the live chat there as well. Wow. So I'm actually monitoring that while I'm monitoring that while I'm monitoring this while I'm talking to you. So it gets... Yeah, two screens is kind of the way that I set it up. But it also lets me, if I am going to share a screen, it's going to be over here. So then when the moment comes, I already have the tab queued up. So it's one of those things where I do that share screen. That means I don't lose sight of you guys. I can do that and then also see what's going on over here and never lose sight of it.
When I was practicing learning it, I hit share and it says you got to have two screens to share. Or maybe I misunderstood what it was trying to tell me. But
yeah, I think a lot of it depends on your setup. It does prefer it because then if you're trying to do something in the same browser that you're doing it, the system is, because what happens is if you do the share screen, You ever seen when if you point a camera at a television screen that happens to be connected to it, and you get like that infinite loop that goes all the way into infinity, a tiny thing?
I've seen that. Yep.
That's basically what happens.
Okay.
Like if you share, so if I shared a screen of you guys, you would just shrink into infinity.
Yeah.
It'd be very entertaining, but that's basically what would happen.
For a couple seconds, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the systems don't like that. Basically, you're sharing a screen of just staring at itself. But yeah, it just depends. It's a comfort level thing. But one of the things I was thinking about, because I watched it and I thought you hit on the key points that you wanted to do. But one thing I saw that was interesting was that Garrett, Card Cutter, he did it with Mike, Canadian Cards, and they actually did a pre-recorded, which I thought was an interesting move because it's perfectly valid. At the end of the day, as long as in the right time frame on the channel, it plays. Mm-hmm. Now, is that something, given that you were trying to do your format a certain way, you would have been able to take full advantage and have the benefit of editing? You could have had your stuff on the screen and already have it preset and program it for basically 60 minutes on the dot. Starts at the right time, ends at the right time. Would you have wanted to do it as a pre-record then, just to hit your timing exactly?
I thought about it when I first started learning StreamYard, but I wanted to do it live. I really wanted to do more interaction with the chats, and when I opened up the chats,
it's like you started reading. It was like, okay, guys, that's enough.
Okay.
If you've never done it before, it's not as easy as it looks. The reason why I asked the question is I was just kind of curious because at this point I've done enough. Dave and Steve know that it's like at this point it's like I could do this and juggle. So it's like, yeah, okay. It's just a comfort level with it. That's the only reason I try to make sure we try to keep it up and we're caught up with the chat. So right now we're all the way caught up, and I won't read everything out, but at the same time I do want to acknowledge everybody that took a moment to put something down there. And if I see something that I think is a topic or a question, we can definitely do it. And they're chatting with each other too, so you got to let them they've got their conversation going on too.
That's one thing about the Hobbypalooza is I noticed that the chats were left alone. Not Victor, like the other guys who've been doing this a lot. Mm-hmm. They didn't even comment. A lot of them didn't even comment on any of the chats, which I found surprising. But if their friends came in, they would chat with them. Hey, how you doing, Jimmy? Yeah, because they knew him or a few people down the road. But everybody else who was trying to say something, they were just like, okay, whatever. It wasn't. You want to get people involved. You want to acknowledge the people. It's very, very, very important that you do that because they're not just typing this for nothing.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Well, some formats are better than others. Understood.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking about with the whole Hobbypalooza thing. I didn't watch everything, but I watched enough variety of different stuff to try to get a taste of it. That's why I knew that Garrett had gone with the pre-recorded, and then Victor was doing his version of it, trying to get a little involvement, but also making sure he's trying to hit all his points. So it's tricky when you're trying to balance the two things out, and you've only got 60 minutes. So it's one of those things like you got a tight deadline. Right. In this thing, if it takes a little longer and somebody needs to make a point, I'm not going to cut off Dave mid-sentence. Like I don't have to. I don't have a hard deadline. But I find, and this may be the subject of its own video, not too distant future, spoiler. I think that certain types of content work better with certain formats. Because if you're trying to I think live stream really only works in two formats for me that I've found. Number one, if you do want the audience interaction, you want to do it. That's part of it. So I think then live makes total sense because you're going to acknowledge the crowd. So see here? Yeah, you are typing for nothing. Absolutely. But if you include the chat in it, makes sense. Then that there's that interactive element. Right. The second one is when there's like a breaking news thing and you just want to do a pre-tape and you want to be able to get it timely, because then you're taking advantage of the format where it's going live, and then as soon as you hit end, it's already up on your channel. Right. So for me, that's advantageous if you don't need editing, if you don't need anything fancy. Right. But almost everything else, almost every other type of content, I'm sitting there going like, okay, for me, anything else, you may as well use the pre-record, because then you got all the frills, all the advantages. You can use the editing. You can make, if there's something visual you want to show, you're talking about a card, you can show it on the screen. Right. You want to give an example, a little information while I'm talking, here's some text backing up what I'm saying or giving you some extra. Doing it, you can do it live, but it's a little bit tougher because now you're trying to incorporate that and then trying to do all this crazy stuff at the same time.
Right. Right.
Or balance of the two. You could have a couple pre-recorded little things that you want, and you can just share screen and have that run through.
Are you suggesting that Bob and Stove didn't have a phone call and then immediately get on the live? Are you suggesting there was a pre-recorded element?
I think it was live.
I think they did it all live. They just magically materialized right there on the live stream right after the beginning part.
Yeah.
Right off the call. Come on.
10 takes later, sure.
Exactly. So I did see some folks incorporated both elements of it. Little pre-tape along with the live component of it, or fully pre-taped, or, the fully live experience. So let me pose it this way. Going forward, so when you were coming into it, what did you know of Hobbypalooza? What did you think it was?
I watched it last year, almost in its entirety, and I found a lot of new channels that I, wasn't subscribed to and that kind of thing. So in that aspect, it was pretty beneficial. I even jumped on one of the, I think it was Mike O's spot, and I jumped in there for a few seconds, and so I kind of knew the concept going into it this year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think, I know Dave had his opinion on it that he talked about on his live stream, but let me ask you as a participant. I think originally the idea, and it can evolve over time, I think originally the idea of Hobbypalooza was to be this avenue to promote different creators, to give the community a sense of these different folks. Maybe they hadn't heard of so-and-so or whatever, and it was an opportunity to hear from them. And maybe, okay, I like what this person has to say. Let me check out their channel. Let me check out some of the rest of their stuff. Do you think it met that still? Do you because we did have repeat folks from last time, and we also had some different comments, but we also had some bigger channels as well. So does it make sense? This is where I'm kind of curious, because does it make sense to try to feature those smaller channels maybe and include those collaborations, or did you want to mix? Or because some of those channels were already pretty big. It's not like people didn't know who they were already.
Yeah, and I don't know the full backstory, but I do know, Mike, baseball collector, he was throwing it out there for a few weeks that if you wanted a spot to contact him. Right. And I know that those spots took a while to fill up. So it's not like, a new channel was like wanting to jump out there and get out there. So I don't know if.
Yeah. And they had a few surprise slots, which did get filled in. So I think that would jive with what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So in that aspect, would you like to see new guys? Yeah, I think it would be a good opportunity for a new guy. That's why I jumped on there because I wanted to get myself out there.
Sure.
And so in that aspect, I think that's up to the individual creator to get involved, really.
No, I agree with you. That's why I wanted to get your perspective. As a participant, you've got one vantage point on it. As viewers, we're participating a different way.
And you should, I'm going to rally for you, Carlos. You should be on there, man, next year.
I just don't know if I saw they didn't have anything on there. And I'm saying, you want to limit me to 60 minutes? You're out of your damn mind. It's like, here's your surprise, hour 2. That's your surprise. It's like, you think you can contain me to 1 hour? How dare you? You can have Carlos and then Carlos.
Till the AM.
Yeah. Here's what I'll do. Hour 1, it'll be like this. Hour 2, it'll be like this. There you go. Now it's completely different. Totally different. That's hour 2. Here's hour 3. Here's hour 4.
There we go.
And back to hour 5, recapping hours 1 through 4. That's what we're going to have.
Bravo.
That's Hobbypalooza. That's Hobbypalooza.
There we go.
What? The rest of you want? Too bad for you. Is this live? Absolutely not. Totally pre-taped.
That's for sure.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people get lost in the algorithms too, and that's the unfortunate part behind. With the Hobbypalooza, you're supposed to get out to those other people, and there's other people I've heard of, but I haven't seen, and I thought it was kind of refreshing. I never saw the first Hobbypalooza. I really should have went back and looked through it a little bit more, but I found it to be interesting. Some were more interesting. The other guy was just opening packs. It's just like, hello. Like,
no, I think there's room. So. Here's where Dave, I do want to get your 2 cents on, because obviously you did your live stream about it. So let's get your 2 cents in here.
Oh yeah.
I think there's room though. You can have a breaker. That makes sense to me. Like, that's part of the community too. Not everybody likes it, but at least give them a couple of folks that break some packs. That makes sense to me. Like, it's not, to me, it feels like you do now. To Victor's point, not everybody volunteers. I said it partially in jest, but it's one of those things where I don't like the idea of being programmed into it, number 1. Number 2, I do a live stream every week. So it's like, all right, I'm already doing hours. I literally did a live stream. We did a live stream on Friday for a couple of hours before that. So it's like, do I need more airtime? Like, not really. Like, no, my opinion was no. It's not that my channel's the biggest, but it's like, look, I do my thing. and I'm chugging along doing it. I don't need the extra exposure necessarily. I'm happy to contribute to somebody else if they want to do it and they would like, hey, can you come on and like offer an opposing view or something? Yeah, happy to do that. But I'm like, no, you guys take it. You guys should use the opportunity, use the platform. I'm doing this thing every Friday. So it's like, I've got my time. I've got my time and I can take as much or as little time as we want to do. I'm not constrained and I can program this show. Every week's a little bit different. We don't know what we're going to get until we get into the week. We don't even know what news is going to happen. So I don't even know what we're going to talk about until it happens. I like not being restricted that way.
You might not fit into the algorithm of some people, and they're just missing out on because I'm Carlos.
There you go. So Dave, please. I know that Dave has the odd thought or two. Please.
Me? No.
Yeah.
The first year, obviously, I liked you had more of those group type of settings, and you had centric type of shows.
Mm-hmm.
I was on with JT for the super collector stuff. There was a handful of us that got about 4 or 5 minutes. That's the drawback. But again, and eventually down the road, you can go relive or rekindle those relationships. And I went on JT's show months later. Right. And then you have Mike O, who had the big like sort of community thing at the I don't know if it was the Sunday night.
Yeah,
I like those. What I had mentioned this past Tuesday, 7:05 p.m. Central Standard Time, on the YouTube channel, which has the same name, the Insert Revolution Podcast. I mentioned how you could get a couple maybe shows on there with some of the differentiating vantage points or the viewpoints of collectors. You could have like the new age flipper. You could have like the vintage guy. You could have the hardcore, I collect like Mike, the Perez Steel, me, Josh Johnson, Carlos, Madonna, somebody that's, when you think of somebody, you think of a specific player, set, whatever the case may be. Bob Lewis, you think of Cherub. Have them in sort of just like a round table. Even if you've got predetermined questions, it's going to give the collectors watching a different vantage point. Like, okay, I know Sasha T, you're one of these flipper dudes. They're talking to Victor, and Victor's talking to Bobby on there, and Bobby and Victor are talking with Filmington. It's like, okay, that's a group you don't expect to see on camera. So it's like, that's interesting right there. You're putting
that's interesting. Yeah.
You're mixing up the bowl. It's not all, hey, we're all doing the same thing. We're all staying in the same lane. That doesn't grow what you say you want to grow, and that is the community.
Mm-hmm.
When you constantly are with the same people doing the same thing, nothing's growing but equal.
That's a fair point. That's a solid point, I think.
So I mean, you can still have get some hobby, the vintage guys, get pre-war guys, get them all on there talking for a show or something. Get the rookie card, have them on there with you. Like, man, I collect only the rookie cards. I only collect rookie cup. Well, why do you do that? What do you do that for? What's the reasoning? Stuff like that where, again, you still can give away the boxes, the 8x10s, whatever. That's awesome that Upper Deck Panini Top all get involved, all giving away stuff. Can
I ask you a quick question, Dave? Can I ask you a quick question based on what you're saying there, though? And I said it partially in jest, but like also partially because I understood kind of the way they wanted to structure the thing. But maybe if getting volunteers is a little bit tricky, would there be value, given that you're trying to program it over the 2 days, and I just pose it out as a question, would there be value in maybe utilizing a couple of the folks that do have a little bit more of a comfort level with that and just having them facilitate and program stuff where you do bring people on? So they can still, so they wouldn't be leaned upon necessarily to run their own show, but they could still get out there and be like, hey, because Filmington has already a pretty good sized audience. Imagine a panel discussion where Filmington's chatting with Victor, or, you know, so Victor can still potentially do his own thing as well. So it's not excluding one the other, but intentionally having a thing where maybe Filmington takes a little extra time and then has a little time where maybe he's chatting with Victor, or maybe he's chatting with Dave, or I'm just inserting names, but I'm saying like have it so that, hey, do you mind being on a little bit longer? But then you can do your thing for part of it, and then you can kind of space out the same thing. That way it's not, you're not just trying to fill these individual hours and we're like, do we have enough people for this? And it gives you flexibility, But it gives you a little flexibility because then you could also have some experienced folks that think, hey, you know what? We'll start you up this way. And then if you're ready to take it on next time around, go for it. Here's your dedicated hour. Go nuts.
I know it was encouraged for us to bring somebody on with us.
Sure.
My only problem was I was so green with StreamYard that just getting myself on there was a task, a big enough task for me. And it really didn't fit into what I wanted to do overall. But, if I were to get a chance next year, I would definitely, bring people in and have that panel discussion. But the variety, I think, is a solid point. I don't even think, how many of the investor guys were on there? Like,
thank God.
I know the personal finance dad was on there, and that's the only one.
And I'll give Dustin credit. He decided to focus on PC cards. He decided to program his time to be like, okay, let me just show you some cards of some guys that I used to collect when I was a kid or that I followed when I was a kid, and I'll go through these. And he decided to take his time that way. In a way, he kind of presented himself in the best light, if you think about it, because it's like, well, you know me for this. Let me show you something a little different. If you don't know me, by the way, I collect some cards too. Here you go.
Well, yeah, Dave, that was genius what you said. And then Carlos followed up with some more of that. It's like getting the top guys. They already have a couple thousand subs, right? You get those guys and they bring on the newer guys, not the new guys, but newer guys, and that's their thing of their show. It's they bring on and they mentor, so to speak. I think that would be great. I think that's what you're kind of saying, right, Dave? Mentoring the people, right?
Or even if they can use their outlet with all their big sub count, get the folks that don't have huge sub counts but have been on here. I'm not saying me because nobody wants to hear me talk anymore. But I mean, you've got a lot of hobbyists that are in that like 500 to 700, 800 subscribers. They've been on here for 10, 12 years. That just because you have that low number of subs doesn't mean you're not any more intelligent or witty, thoughtful, whatever the case may be, knowledgeable than the guys that have 30, 40, 50, 80,000. It's if they can use that platform, bring on some of the knowledgeable guys that aren't maybe community known. You sort of have them still in these niches, these pockets. Bring them on there, then that gives them the exposure because you're already going to bring 120, 150 people at least to the table, and don't be so beholden to that hour. Say, hey, next up is Mike O. We're right in the middle of this. We're going to continue. As soon as we wrap up, we're going to head over to Mike O's. If you guys want to stick around, that's fine. Mike O is starting 2 minutes from now, as per the time. And then if that conversation is still going strong, you don't have to sit there and be like, well, we're going to just finish it up. And then guess what? Nobody talked to each other. Nobody's like, okay, let's pick this up down the road. Go 10 minutes over. Go a half hour over. Whatever the case may be. Make sure everybody gets their point. So instead of like trying to rush through a thought, an opinion, whatever the case may be, you can talk it out, still sound halfway intelligent, and then, hey, we're back. We're still, Mike O's already going. If you don't want to listen to us finish up, you're over at Mike O's doing whatever there. So
I think that's a good idea. The only thing I would position to you, I think it's going to be, here's what's going to be interesting about this. Some of the folks would probably struggle with the timing. It's the timing because so to your point, if you say, hey, you can go a little overtime, would you realize that you're past the hour? Unless you're monitoring that? Like I'm saying, like from my perspective, I can see a little clock. I've got it in the corner for me. I can see it. And I think some of you guys may be able to see a clock. I'm not sure from your vantage point. I'm not 100%. But I know I can definitely see a clock. So if I was trying to catch something at the top of an hour, it's a little easier for me to, but I got to be paying attention to that. That's why I said earlier, like at this point, it's like piloting a ship. How many things can you keep your eye on? Victor takes it. If you're new to it, like 2 things at once might be a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
But then once you get more comfortable, then it's like, okay, now I got 10 things going on at once, and it's not even putting me on a 2 on the stress scale.
I think to Dave's point, I think in hindsight now, when I think of Mike O's hour last year in 2020, where he took the last 15 minutes and he allowed us smaller pheasants to come in and just say hello, and just give your name and what your YouTube channel is about. Yep. And then he was able to squeeze in like 50 channels in that little 15-minute window. Yeah. And it was all us little guys. And I mean, I got on there. I think I was on there for like 5 seconds, but it meant the world to me. It was like a boost in the arm for the new guy, you know. And it's very encouraging.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think that's great. I think it should be structured, or they should talk a little bit about it rather than here. Okay, everyone's got an hour. Do what you want.
Yeah. I'll say Maiko is usually good for stuff like that though, but I don't think it was like structured. I think it was just like, hey, okay, well, you know, it'd be kind of an idea. Here's the link. Go for it, guys.
Right.
So nice. I wanted to grab Boston Kid's comment here. Just remember, the most important thing I was ever taught in collecting: we are custodians of the cards, not just collector. So here, Mr. Wonderful is like, no, I refuse to unblock you. We can't see you. He's not blocked. He's in the chat. So it's like, now, intelligent conversation. If you think you're blocked and I can see you, it's like, I question that, but sure. But no, we can see you fine. You're not blocked.
A little paranoid? Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I can see you. But anyway. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, no, I think the concept still has promise. I said originally, my original contention with it is that I think the concept has promise, but I think they're going to have to be really careful how they use it. I know the guys want to leave it loose and kind of open. I do think you can take advantage. I think you can do one of Dave's suggestions. Maybe don't bind people to exactly 60 minutes. Give them a little, if they need a little leeway, give it to them. I think giving somebody with a little experience, if they got a little bit of experience, then perhaps what you could do is you could take advantage of some of those folks and be like, hey, can you run a little long? Bring some people on. You know, start off maybe doing one thing for a bit, do a game, do whatever, this, that, or the other thing, whatever you want to do. And then have some time where you do bring some folks on, like Maiko did. Basically, hey, Victor, come on, let's chat about this, that, or the other thing. And then, you know, let's bring Bobby on, let's bring Dave on, whatever. Just examples. But then by doing that, you can have a panel discussion for part of it, and you can have that for the other part of it, and it mixes it up, gives it a little variety. And there you go. But you also introduce people. Oh, I had never heard of this Victor rookie card specialist guy. Let me go check out this channel. Is AmishDaveArcher? Absolutely not. But like, you have these options. The point is you can make this decision. But at least then you have that exposure. Yeah. And then that's an opportunity. Because for some of these guys, maybe carrying a show is maybe let's walk before we run. Because it's a little bit tricky if you haven't done it and you're not really sure. Because 60 minutes feels like a really long time. Yeah. If you don't really have an idea of exactly what you want to do, and you're just trying to make it on the fly.
Especially when you're riding solo, it was 60 minutes felt like forever.
Yeah, but because you're talking to a void,
right?
Like I've mentioned this before, like when you're doing it, you are in the void.
Yeah.
So it's like, and it's weird because there's no feedback. That's why it's a little easier to play off somebody.
You know, I had an outline, but even going through it, talking halfway through it, I had left my water in the other side of the room.
Yeah,
I got a really bad case of hot mouth, and I'm going on, and I'm like, it was starting to distract me. It was so bad, and I was just like, "Time out, guys! I gotta go get my water."
I thought that added a beautiful level of interactivity to the whole thing. So hold on here. Let me grab this one. I have blocked you. I can't see you. Are you sure, Dave? Can you see him?
No.
I just put a blank screen on there. I think it's like a picture of John Cena or something. I didn't see anything.
John Cena.
Yeah. Here you go.
Well, that's true. We're adding. What we're doing is we're talking about, you know, a few small critiques, but we're really talking about, hey, if this thing is to go forward, here's some great suggestions.
It is.
Like nobody else is talking about it. It's just like, hey, yeah, I'm going to do follow up to everybody did the Monday after the Hobbypalooza. Oh, it was a tough weekend. And yeah, you're there Monday.
I think it's also doubly important since you do have a little bit of that backing from some of those manufacturers, because you've got that. That's an enticement. That gets people to be like, oh yeah, definitely, I'll check this out because hey, I can see, maybe win a box of whatever, and then you can indeed cherry pick. Like when I watch Andy, she blinded me refractors, and he was doing UFC talk. I wasn't expecting to get that from him, but hey, I'm into it. I like the UFC.
That was interesting.
Yeah, I was watching the fight that weekend, so like his timing was perfect. I was like, I went and I ordered that fight. I was into it.
I was a little shocked. Panini was nowhere to be found this year, but I don't know what happened there. But
Well, A-Rod put the veto on that, allegedly.
they what?
A-Rod has a SPAC group that's looking at potentially buying Panini.
Oh,
As I was saying, maybe A-Rod got his claws in a little early. He goes, "Nah, Hobbypalooza's out. We're not doing it." It's a straight no.
A-Rod said no.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's true though, because Panini has the NBA license. Panini has the UFC license,
Yeah.
so the potential is there. They could have provided some product, and like I said, you could spread it out because Topps has some great stuff, and then you could have Panini if Upper Deck's got some stuff, so you could have a mix. You do want a little bit of a blend because these different manufacturers have different licenses. You want to give everybody a chance, and some of this stuff's expensive, so a free box is a free box.
Sure.
And don't forget, Victor, you actually had a question and gave away a box, which was great. Where Pepino, man, he didn't even go, I'll do something later.
Well, I wish, like I said, I was just happy he wasn't day drinking and didn't think the box was for him. He goes, "It's like, I'm gonna open this box, you guys." It's like, no, you're supposed to give that away.
It was funny. Yeah,
That's not for you. That's not for you. You didn't buy that, Pepino.
Can't remember.
Exactly. That's what I say. Like, I was concerned. I had concerns. I was worried.
I don't know. It was under my Starbucks.
Yeah, exactly. Sounds good. Okay, so let me pose this question, and I'll kind of, at the same time, guys, in the chat there, you're more than welcome. We talked a little bit about some of those other topics. If there's something you want to bring up about it, you can. If there's something else you want to go, we can do that too. And if you want me to block you can always ask. Like I said, I can't see Sanderson Orr, so he's blocked. But anyway, what I was going to ask is this. So now you've got the rebranding done. Victor, rookie card specialist. Obviously, that's your topic and area. Now, is this a situation where you feel like you've got a bunch of different potential videos down the road that you want to make, touching on some different stuff? Are you going to is it going to stay down that lane continuously going forward? Or do you think at some point you may expand a little bit beyond that for some of your collection stuff, maybe outside of the rookie card piece? Where are you thinking?
I'm thinking more towards staying to topic. The
Sure.
topic is so broad. I have so many different ideas for videos.
Okay.
I don't think there's going to be a lack of content, and I haven't really even started on the industry.
Okay.
I haven't even started any of that stuff, but I do have some issues with industry practices that I'll be getting into eventually. But at the same time, I do also want to take the time, like, I don't know if you got a chance to watch my piece about Babe Ruth. I still want to stay, focus on the rookie card and make presentations that will bring appreciation to the rookie cards.
Okay.
I also want to do videos about what I call the shenanigans that have gone on throughout history on the rookie card. For example, the 2012 Bryce Harper in that when they created the tops, and then they created like 4 other cards, and so I want to expose the shenanigans that have been created over the years.
Okay, sounds fair.
Shanahan?
Who?
Shanahan.
Exactly. Drive carefully. We always recommend drive carefully. Filmington. It's like, Filmington, I like you, but if I was going to block somebody, I'm considering you for this. You might as well have said Voldemort. Verboten. We do not speak of inferior quarterback. I don't think I always I like that Filmington brought this one up. That is a thing though. Like some people decided like it's like, oh, rookie and Buccaneers, like that's not how that works. No, that's not how that works. Exactly. It's like that's it. It's like nobody brings up inferior quarterback. I love poking. Some of the Brady collectors get so mad. They get so mad. It's so much fun. Okay, here we go. Yep. Getting caught up here. Yeah, nice.
Shanahan.
I love it.
Get out of that.
It almost every time, as soon as that happens, it's almost always leads to disappointment. Like it sounds fancy, but it leads to disappointment. If Joe Perot let us astray once again, and I can say that because he's in hiding. He only shows up when Jeremy wants him on the show. I was making fun of him the other day. I was like, so you're good enough to comment, but you don't show up anymore. I see how it is, Joe Perot. I'm watching you, bro. And then I see in your little panel, your Hobbypalooza panel, just standing there with your floating head. I see you, bro. I see you, and I will call you out. Do not even worry about that.
Joe's a good dude, man. I like Joe.
Yeah.
So look, that's what I thought, Joe.
I knew it.
That's right. Exactly. Yep. In capitals, especially.
Oh.
Well, Joe, I can send you the link if you want to redeem yourself. This is your opportunity. Your call. Wow. It's like, you have been indeed called out, my friend. You have been indeed called out. Anyway, but yeah,
I have to give a compliment to Victor and his new intro. You know, it's that perfect length. You know, a lot of times when you go into a video, I always click a little bit in, like a few minutes in, because the intro and all the other crap. And yours is like wham, and then you're just rookie cards. But I really like that, and it's quick, it's over, and you're in, and I love it. So,
thank you.
That's a really.
I get picked on sometimes with that kind of stuff. You know.
For what reason?
Well, it's, you know, you're kind of like selling out to the YouTube mainstreams.
Oh yeah, well that's actually pretty modern and pretty. That's a really cool intro. I love it.
Well, listen, Dave sold out to the YouTube mainstream years ago, isn't that right, Dave? Like, I when I think of YouTube mainstream, basically like it's your picture. Like, it's ridiculous. This guy used to be about collecting. Do you remember that, Bobby? Like, remember when Dave used to be like about collecting before he became like a big star?
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. It's just
we know what I always stuck with me in my head about Dave was the that one video where he was dancing with the hoop. There it is. That was classic.
That was like the height of his professional. That's what led him to stardom.
Right,
that's what led him to stardom. That was it right there. Nice. Of all the references.
The humility of it all. It was great though. I loved it.
Free spirited, man. Just you.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's the truth. Exactly right.
That's
exactly.
what we don't see a lot of on YouTube now.
No, that's TikTok now.
So many of those videos back then where we were just acting like complete asshats, but we all did it together. So it wasn't like just me doing it. There was 5, 10, 15 other guys. Maybe not to that extreme, but I mean to an extreme. So that's one of the big things that's missing now when you had those old contest videos. Hey, do this. Hey, do that.
Okay.
Do as wacky as you can.
Well, that's the thing, because they literally did. It fit into the time period. It wasn't. Now, mind you, Dave probably would have done it on his own, but he had a specific reason at the time. It did make some logical sense. Okay. All right, so here we go. Mr. Wonderful is bringing intelligent conversation. I want a little fun with this. So actually, this is still a good conversation piece anyway. We'll have a little fun with it. We'll ignore the wording on it. But here you go. So Victor, here you go. The hobby has evolved. Your perspective is antiquated. And Justin contributing his important 2 cents. There's a reason why we don't have you on the screen anymore, Justin. All right, Victor. So explain. You are a huge rookie card guy. And while you're doing it, I'll grab some of these other ones, these other comments as well. But you are very passionate about the rookie card. I explained that if I was starting over again, the rookie card would probably be a little de-emphasized, but obviously you literally built a channel and a blog and a variety of things around it. So it means a lot to you. Do you want to explain that piece?
Explain.
Why is the rookie card? Because obviously you're very passionate about what the manufacturers are doing. You're passionate about, them meeting the rules and doing all this. If the rookie card matters that much, why?
Why it matters to me, I guess.
Start with you. That's probably the best place to start.
No, I think it just, I started collecting in 81. And to me, I was when I was 10 years old, and at that time, and it was just, to me, the beginning of a rookie card boom. Mm-hmm. And growing up in a Hispanic community, back in 1981, there was also, if you remember, Fernando Valenzuela, who was also a rookie that year. And I just remember, we didn't have, our fun was playing baseball off of a wall at a high school. Mm-hmm. And we would paint a box on the brick wall with an X in the middle. And we had a rubber ball that we would get at the local Walgreens for $1.50. Mm-hmm. And Fernando Valenzuela in my neighborhood was just the apex of it all. Now, I didn't know that he was a rookie card, but I do know that me and my friends would always go and buy packs in hopes of pulling a Fernando Valenzuela.
Sure, yeah.
And then I come to find out later on that was his rookie card. And so that left like an imprint in my mind, Fernando Valenzuela and all of that aspect. I also had a very early, with my dad, with 1979 Ozzie Smith, his rookie card.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my dad had the exact same sideburns as Ozzie Guillen has.
Okay.
And I remember bringing that up to my dad. I says, Dad, look, this guy has the same sideburns as you. And I remember him saying, he's a really good baseball player. You want to make sure you take care of that card. Mm-hmm. And now, the rookie card term didn't exist to me anyways back then. But I do remember setting that card and my Fernando Valenzuela cards inside of a cigar box. And I kept those cards separate because to me, those cards were of the utmost importance. Fernando Valenzuela and the Ozzie Smith rookie. And so as I learned more and more about the hobby as the years rolled on, I learned that these cards were rookie cards. And back then there was just a rookie card boom in the early to mid 80s that was all the rage. And so now I'm 14, 15, 16 years old. And what are we doing? We're chasing the rookies. And rookies had always been a big part of my collecting. Mm-hmm. And so for that reason, I think, I've developed a mindset anyways that thinks the rookie card, when you look at it historically, it is, in my opinion, the most important card in the hobby. It is just its impact, its influence that it has had in the hobby is second to none. What other card has impacted this hobby like the rookie card? Mm-hmm. And so I see it almost, and I've toned down this type of verbiage, but I'll go ahead and say it now because you asked.
You mean nomenclature?
Yeah, I do find the rookie card almost to the point where it's sacred within the hobby.
Okay.
It's that important of a card.
Okay.
And so that's why I think it's so important. And it's been just diluted to the point where base rookie cards don't even matter anymore. That's how bad it's gotten. Mm-hmm. And it's just been devalued, and it's like nobody cares about it anymore. They just care about the monetary value, the aesthetics of it all, and it's becoming almost obsolete or unimportant within the hobby.
No, that's good. The reason why I wanted to leave the floor open for you to give your perspective on it. What, for the sake of consistency, heaven forbid we do consistency, but the thing is that I'm always open to accepting and being interested in. All right, give your reasons, and then from there you can be like, okay, I prefer this, I prefer that. That's why I try to separate preference from objective. It's probably a good thing that you went away from, sacred as because it isn't for everybody. Right. It is for some folks. That's the reason why I gave that example. I try to put myself in that headspace. I did it earlier. It's an exercise. What I said is if we're starting over again, you have those memories associated with those rookie cards. But if I'm starting over again from scratch, part of the reason I'm not as attached to wax and retail box prices and stuff like that, my initial foray into cards was those collector kits. I didn't have packs for the first couple of years of collecting. My parents got me those things and they would buy these stacks of these cards. And for me, it was just I'm just sorting through these cards and going through this stuff. And that was the fun part for me. A couple of years in, then, we'll buy you a couple of packs here. And if you do this, that, and the other thing, here you go. And you can have some packs. Because it wasn't the first thing, I still enjoy it. I like opening packs. It's fun to see what's inside. And in moderation, it's great. It's not the best ROI. If I'm going to spend $1 in the hobby and I want to get exactly what I want, I'd rather than spend $1 focused. That's the reason why I said that thing about the rookie, is that if I was starting over again, I might grab one just to have it. but I wouldn't necessarily chase them all because I'd pick my favorite. Good enough. That bucket is covered. Right. Let me focus on some of this other stuff because there's some other pieces that interest me more. Like I said, Mr. Wonderful, like I said, again, for a block guy, he sure has a lot to say. But insert, short prints, RPA, numbered cards, whatever. And if I'm starting over a collection again, depending on the player, again, depends on the player, for some of those are the categories that I might pursue. Because again, I've got a combination of aesthetics and limited. It's not the price per se, like I said. I'd rather have a common, good-looking card than a very rare, ugly-looking card. Mm-hmm. I respect the 63 Topps Pete Rose, but I think it's aesthetically ugly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I was collecting the 63 set, or if I want rookie cards of Hall of Famers, I need it. So that changes the game on me. Sure. But if I'm not necessarily collecting that, is it the first one I would run to if I'm getting a vintage piece? No, there's probably some Mantles or some Mays or some Hank Aaron's or stuff, some Jackie Robinsons. Like there's some cool cards that to me, my first foray into collecting wasn't a Beckett magazine. In the same vein, I joke about it with folks offline and Bobby and whatever. I respect Beckett for what he's done. But Beckett wasn't the Bible for me. The first price guide I had and all that was this visual guide made by consumers, by Consumer Reports or whatever. It was but you know what it had? It had pictures. It had color pictures of some of these cards. So that was my first exposure to some of those vintage cards in color. So I got a chance to see the 53 Bowman Mantle in color. So when I flipped through the pages, that was the first opportunity. The prices were the prices. I wasn't worried about that. I was flipping through it to look at the pictures of the cards that I couldn't have. Well, I have a 53 Topps Mantle. That was one of those cards that I wanted out of that book. I have it. 52 Bowman Mantle. I have it.
Yeah.
I never thought I would, but I have it. Is it the highest condition card? Nope. But it's mine. Well, when I was 8 years old, I didn't think I could have it. Well, it turns out I can, and I do. So that's kind of the way that works. So for me, those were the pieces I was looking after. But I saw the 63 Topps Pete Rose, and I thought it was ugly back then. I still think it's ugly now.
Yeah.
But can I appreciate it historically? Yes. Can I appreciate Pete Rose as a player? Yes. But that's not my favorite Pete Rose card. There are some Pete Rose cards in the 70s that I think look better.
Most certainly. I guess with what's going on, there is a contractual agreement between the card manufacturers and the MLB PA that it is signed that they have to put a rookie insignia on a card, and it can only be the rookie card that they're putting it on, and they're venturing off. And I think Victor's trying to lasso that in a little bit. Sure. But the rookie card still should be a rookie card, regardless. You can make rookie years. That's fine. You can make all of those, but there still should be a rookie card going forward. There should be one base card. If it's the base set, which they're always putting out, then why not have it in there? Why not it being only that card? And they're getting a little sneaky now. You want to take that one, Victor?
Yeah, and that falls all into the what I call shenanigans, and they're just throughout history. They always come out with a certain twist that they put on it, a certain type of design that kind of questions, like the short print cards and that sort of thing, and they create 3, 4, 5 variants of the same card within the base set. So that even causes, let alone the rookie year or the inserts and subset cards, but they just really push the envelope to makes you question, makes you wonder which one, what are we looking at here? Which one is which? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people still have, the old school way of thinking, and a lot of people have a little bit more of a free-spirited way of thinking. And so I think that's where the I guess the rub comes in, or the debate comes in. Mm-hmm. And why doesn't the industry bring clarification to some of these muddy issues? Instead, they're the creators of the muddy issue. And instead of looking to, take responsibility and lead the industry, they opt to defer and say, it's up to the hobby. You decide. Well, isn't that convenient?
Okay, I love, and I know this is part of your discussion on this piece, but this leads into an interesting conversation specifically about this concept. So let me play into this one here. So let me touch on one thing, and then I want to kind of open it up to you three guys. The idea here is kind of and I'm including Filmington's comment in here because Bowman Chrome First Prospects has become a very popular card. And it kind of plays into the point I'm going to get playing off of what Victor's saying. The companies, their job is to sell cards. Their job is not necessarily to determine what is a rookie card. Because from the perspective of a manufacturer, look, a card is a card is a card. The rookie card is a marketing tool. So in a certain way, putting more rookie card logos on more cards, it makes it more sellable. There's more cards. You create more hits without creating hits, without creating parallels, without doing whatever. Anything you can do to look, man, the job is to sell boxes. If I'm looking at it from the manufacturer's perspective, my job is to sell boxes. My job isn't to figure that out. You figure it out. And to your point. So my question would be this. If you're the manufacturer, totally agree with your point. Like if I'm sitting there at the table with you, Victor. Yep, totally agree with you. My job is to sell boxes. Giving clarity, does that help me sell more boxes? Not necessarily. Is it really hindering me to sell boxes? If all right, everything's got a rookie card logo on it. If it's hurting sales, then yeah, I'll change something. But if it's not necessarily hurting, my sales numbers are not hurting. So what's the problem? So I want to get to you, Victor, in 1 second because I know you'll have like I said, I want to open up the thought. Dave, you get where I'm going with this, right? If I'm looking at it from the strictly business perspective, your job is to sell boxes. But I also asked you earlier, I used the player collector thing with you. I said, if we were starting over again, you'd go with one Josh Johnson rookie. You'd pick a very specific one that is your favorite. But is the rookie card, does it matter to you if you're somebody collecting now and you just got started? Does which card is the rookie card matter to you as much as just picking the one you like? Is it a matter of just picking the one you like? Do you need, quote unquote, the rookie card? I know you picked one that you liked, but the reason why all of a sudden those other rookie cards fell off the table because you didn't like them as much.
I'd say now, like you're collecting now, you'll be swayed by the visual appearance of the card, but you'll also have other factors. You'll have, if you're doing anything online, you'll have somebody telling you, hey, Prism, Panini Prisms, you get that. But then the silver, see, that's not the true rookie card, and it's not being argued as such. But in the same vein, that is usually the card, if you're talking away from like the NT, the high-end, super high-end stuff, that's the one people, the last at least year to 18 months, have gravitated towards. Even though it is not a true rookie, it is just a parallel of the rookie. So, again, with my background and all of our backgrounds of actually collecting for more than just the last 10 minutes, it's tough to push out like what you've known over the years. Like Phil said, hey, that Bowman First Prospect or the draft, that used to always be money. I mean, that didn't even matter what else anybody was putting out. Bowman Draft came out and people were just hoarding it.
I'll say one quick thing about that though as well, Dave, just to touch on what you're saying there as well. So you guys know that I've been making a concerted effort to go pick up some Soto cards because I enjoy picking up his cards. I enjoy the player. So I am picky though. I'm not trying to get everything. That's not the goal. But I do try to pick and choose my pieces where I can. This was actually a birthday present I got myself. I wish it had the Soto number on it, but MLB had it on discounts. So I got this for about $50. So I was like, I'll take it. But the thing was, in getting the Soto cards, that Bowman autograph is not a rookie, but it's a very cool card. Like it's actually a pre-rookie if you really want to think about it. But I think it's a very cool card. And as like an important Soto card, it definitely qualifies. I have multiple copies of his rookie, and I like them. They're fun. Like there's nothing like this one came in a ComC order. It's like my national nightmare is over, and my pickup video that'll appear in hours. It's like you can see that I actually got this. It only took 49 days. Thanks, Tim. Second fastest service. Only 49 days. I only gained like 20% more gray hairs. Thanks. But anyway, the point is that I still appreciate the rookie cards that he has, but I do like the Bowman best. Aesthetically, I like this. And I actually had this from ComC forever ago. In this holder, I paid less than $40 for it. It was cheap enough. And this is a BGS 9.5. So it's a good solid card. And for less than $40, it's actually a pretty good price. But that Bowman card, that's a lot more pricey. It's a cool card though. And it's one of those things where if If it was just within reason, I would try to pick that one up. But it's more interesting to me than some of the rookie cards. But again, that's personal preference. It also goes back to the way I started collecting. That's the reason why I gave that analogy about the packs. I enjoy them. I appreciate them. But I didn't start with packs. So they don't mean as much to me. I came to them a little bit down the road. But I've been collecting for 30 years. So I've been in this game a while, but I have my preferences. My preferences were based on those years, those formative years, then gave me my perspective on the hobby going forward. And it never changed. The only thing that changed was the different products they make, how they present them to me, what they are. But because I didn't have that immediate attachment, you try to take the packs away from me. As long as I can get the card I'm interested in, I'm still happy. Again, it's back to preference. But playing into kind of what you guys have been saying, the reason I asked this question this way is that even, like I said, Filmington puts in this comment. Beckett is changing his direction on it. And at one point, they provided guidance. So people looked at him and it's like, wait, didn't you always say it was this? And now you're like, now you have a podcast and say it's this. So it's like, which is it, man? What's it going to be? Like, can we pick something? So if you're not 100% aligned on what it's going to be, like, where are we going with this? So go ahead, Victor. We gave you a lot of meat on this bone, so go for it.
Yeah. Well, I think that Mark McGuire thing, that was debacle of all kind right there. Mm-hmm. But I do know, I think if I'm trying to remember your question, I think it's, I think they're going to sell boxes anyways.
Correct.
Okay. And I don't think if they were to just, and I do think that, I do think that they've made lots of improvements. When I say they, I'm talking card manufacturers.
Sure.
They've somewhat, in the beginning, there was a lot of miscues, a lot of shenanigans, but here today, it's pretty settled, and they got things semi under control. The only big grievance I would say today is in the rookie card inserts and the subsets. That putting the RC logo on all that stuff, I think, is the biggest foul today.
Okay.
I think if they make those changes to those cards and or go with RY or whatever, but identify those cards differently, I think it's a win-win. I think it brings clarity, and I still think they're going to sell the boxes out.
No, sure. But my question was hinged on this idea. I don't disagree with anything you just said. My question was simply this. If you're the manufacturer, does it change, to your point, if I sell the boxes out with confusion and I sell the boxes out with clarity and I don't really have to do anything different, you're asking me to do more, the hobby's work for them. Why?
100%. I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can answer that one, I think.
Go ahead, Bobby.
I think without the MLBPA, Topps can't sell cards. Mm-hmm. So they have a signed agreement. So why should they worry? Because they're emboldened to. They have to. It's under a license agreement.
And Topps has adhered to that how much?
Well, this is the thing, is there's no semblance.
No, I'm with you. But my point is the MLBPA cares about it how much?
Obviously not as much as a few other people do. So, but if there's no semblance, if there's nothing left, it's chaos. It's all chaos.
If we still sell boxes, though?
I don't really care if they sell boxes or whatever.
But if I'm Topps, I do. That's the only part I care about.
Well, then
the rest of it's irrelevant.
Then they don't have to worry.
But they're not though. The point is, if I sell the boxes, then I'm in business. I could sell you air in the packs. If you buy them, I'm in business.
I get it. 100%.
The Players Association is the one I think is the main vessel to hold the manufacturers accountable to comply with what's been agreed upon. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's happening. Now, I'm not 100% sure on that, but
sure.
In my opinion, I don't think that's happening. It's more like, I believe the PA's stance is, we don't want all the hassle that we had back in 2005. Just keep everybody happy and just keep writing the checks, and everything will be fine. But really, the only one that can control the card manufacturers to comply is going to be the PA.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
I tried to reach out to the Players Association several times. Number one, the department that handles that sort of thing, they are impossible to get a hold of. These people are like They're all attorneys, but they're like ghosts. You can't find them anywhere.
Sure.
They're not going to come up on Google. They're not going to come up on social media platforms. They have somewhat of a like generic email on their website, and I've emailed them several times over the last year and a half, and obviously they're not going to respond. But
let me grab something that might give a little flavor to kind of probably what some of the challenges for you that'll play nicely into this. So, John, we'll come back to this question in just a second, but let me grab this one here because I had read this already. So this is from Sports Collectors Daily. This was back in May. So Labor Department report: Topps paid the MLB Players Association over $20 million in 2020. So Topps cut a check to them for over $20.4 million in licensing fees.
wow,
So if you're the MLBPA, we don't care.
right.
We're getting our money. Thank you very much. Have a
Right.
good day.
Exactly.
Please, as you were, people, as you were. And I'm not saying this to be mean-spirited. I'm merely posing the question because, like,
100%.
there's 20.4 million reasons why the MLBPA is like, look, we don't really care, bro. Like the check clears, man.
Yeah.
We're good. Thank you.
But if nobody's looking out for the hobby, and I don't document stuff, and nobody does anything, there's no semblance of it's all chaos.
Uh-huh.
It can turn into chaos.
Uh-huh.
So there's people in place here trying to rectify things.
Sure.
Give them as much, because they're doing it in an altruistic way.
Uh-huh.
Why not give them the support? Why not help them out if you can? Whatever you want to do, as long as it's for hobby good, help people do it. I'm
totally with you. My question remains the same. From the perspective of the PA and the manufacturers, the hobby's fine, guys. We sold the boxes. The MLBPA is like, we made $20 million. It's fine. Look, guys, whatever you want to do, like you can buy the damn cards and throw them into a bonfire. I know Dave likes that. So you can throw them into a bonfire. It's fine. Like, look, we don't care. Just buy the damn boxes. Okay? Whatever.
But there is one thing that can take the Titans down, Carlos, and that is power in numbers. Mm-hmm. If the hobby gets on the same page of this thing, I guarantee you they're going to jump through fired hula hoops to make it happen.
Dave, I need you on the same page as baseball card collector Mike. We good? Yeah, for the good of the hobby. Are we doing the Kumbaya circle? Is that coming next? Are we getting there?
I will throw said cards through said hula hoops with fire.
I don't know if I believe you.
That'll be on the next Hobbypalooza.
I know. It's like I look forward to that. Tune into that one. Let's go. All right. So quickly here, I'll touch on a couple of these. Let me quickly touch on this one. John's been patient. I do want to make sure I get to this. So this is a good question for you, Victor. I remember this one. So 86 Topps traded Barry Bonds. I think it's considered an XRC if memory serves me.
Correct.
Yeah. And that was kind of Beckett's call.
Anymore.
Yeah, that was kind of Beckett's call.
Yeah. PRC is better than XRC. XRC means
I got you, but that was basically the caveat they threw it under, if memory serves me. For many years, that was kind of what they threw it in there.
Yeah, and that was all under the big rush to get the card manufacturers were racing to get to feature the cards of certain players first, and that was their main goal because the product that had the hot rookie first was going to be the product that blew up. So they started putting these guys in. They came up mid-season, or they came up as a September call-up, and they would start making rookie cards of them instantly. Mm-hmm. And those who snoozed, they losed. And so then the following year, when they actually made all the manufacturers made cards for them, well, now there was a big divide into the 86s, or is it the 87s? And so Beckett came out with that XRC identifier to kind of just split the baby per se and calm the waters.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now I will say, controversy notwithstanding, I'm a big fan of that 86 Topps traded card. The 86 was overproduced, but I do love that set. I like the black borders and all that, and the red backs. I actually really like that set. Overproduced as it was.
Me personally, I like them all, Carlos.
That's fair. That's fair. But I'm just saying, from an aesthetic perspective, I always was a fan of that year. I like that year in that set. That era still made some good looking cards, even if they're not worth a lot because they overproduced them. So quickly, I'll touch on this one. Mr. Wonderful. See, for a block guy, you sure have a lot of opinions. So here you go. So card manufacturer's only goal is to sell product. Correct. It does not follow hobby hotlines. It will drive people away. Questionable. They haven't been following it up until this point. It has really driven them away. It's like, I think a lot of people overstate how many people actually care or know what the hobby, guidelines are.
I think it's either, it's either ignorant or uncertainty, or we just don't care. It falls under one of those three categories.
Yeah, that was always the joke, is that, they had that joke where they did the press conference thing. It's like, son, are you ignorant or, and he's like, so coach, I don't know and I don't care. And it's like, yep, pretty much. That's correct. And I think a lot of folks, more folks than people would like to believe, fall under this category, because it's like you're talking, but you're preaching to the converted a lot. You really are, because the people that are hearing you are the people like, yeah, okay, makes sense. Seems reasonable. Sure. Yeah. I'm in an empty auditorium, by the way, just so you know, you're just talking to me.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It's kind of interesting. When they came out with those e-bikes, they kept getting bigger and bigger. Now they're almost motorcycles. Mm-hmm. So, if they scratch your car going by it, they can just take off down a side road. They have no license plate. Don't have to pay anything. And they just kept putting those out on the road, and there was no legislation or anything. So we have sort of chaos on the road. Now you have this little e-bike going down the side, so everybody has to drive around. There's only 2 lanes, so traffic's impossible. Mm-hmm. So without having some guidelines, you get that chaos out there. And Victor's just trying to steer a way to at least preserving that little part of it. No, not all the other stuff. It's just, so he's in a path of doing something, and that's fine. And I think somebody needs to do something about the roads and these guys with their e-bikes.
I like that Victor used the highway analogy about the speed limits, and I was like, what, you don't Autobahn, bro? Like, what the heck, man?
Yeah.
Those are slow. Like, what the heck? Let's go. Get a real car and drive 200 miles an hour, damn it.
Mm-hmm.
Psh.
Yeah.
75. Psh. That's for peasants, Victor. For peasants. Come on.
And who doesn't drive here? Yes.
You got to go in an IndyCar, man. Come on. That's what the thing is, they did the Autobahn specifically because they're like, look, man. And the thing is, you have to have a minimum speed limit. They're the opposite. You have to have a certain speed to even get on it.
Yeah, and my biggest I don't want to say, I guess my biggest point that I want to make is there is guidelines. There is legal guidelines set by the PA. Uh-huh. There are guidelines that the hobby has established decades ago, mm-hmm. but very slowly, very subtly, they've been forgotten about and ignored. And well, no, that's not, nobody wants to pay attention to that. And it seems like more like the newer collectors, they don't see, I guess they don't get it. And I guess I understand, because they haven't lived it over the decades. Mm-hmm. And there should be, for it's what I think is what's best for the hobby, that there has to be some structure to this thing, and not everything can be a rookie card. And I've made it very evident. I've been duped, and I've had the experience, and I have found myself confused. It's like, man, what the hell is going on here with all these different cards?
Mm-hmm. But didn't we already discuss from, as Ed would put, Lord Filmington, he already explained to us that we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Tom Brady card. That's a rookie card, I think.
It says rookie, right?
It's only 20 years in. Come on, man. It's only been 20 years.
It says rookie card right on the top loader.
That young buck is just getting started. He's got a big, bright future. Many years ahead of him. Yikes. No, I get it. It's fun. It's fun to play devil's advocate on this one, though, because what I do is I look at people voting with their wallet, because conceptually I get what you guys are saying, and I support you in going for it. Like, by all means, please continue. My thought process is, though, there is an audience that is sitting back and being like, okay, cool, but at a certain point, that's why I question that. It's like, do we like the rookie card, or is it the concept of the rookie card at the stage? Because at one point, the rookie card was kind of the important or a key card in a player's, iconography.
Sure.
So it was like, so is it still the case? Like, that's why I played that little exercise, and everybody can play that for themselves. If we were starting over again right now, if you collect a player and you don't necessarily need all the cards, is the rookie card getting into that top 10 list, the top 20 list? How far down the line do we have to go before you get there? And that'll tell you how important it is to you, because it used to be a key card in that player's checklist. So is it still the case? For some players, maybe it is. It depends. But some people will play the aesthetics because it's like, look, if I'm going to pay the money for the cards, I want to build the collection I want to build. I want to curate it the way that I don't want you to tell me how to curate it. The same way that I wouldn't tell you how to curate yours. True. So it's one of those things where that doesn't mean I'm discounting the rookie card's importance. It means I'm not worrying about it because I don't even want the card.
Yeah. And I try to be very mindful of my words, Carlos, and I don't ever want to come off like I'm telling people what to collect. That's why I put a lot of thought into what I say, and I know, a lot of people are listening with a very critical ear, just waiting for me to say the wrong thing and so they can pounce.
Are you suggesting that there are people sitting there waiting? Dave, I will not hear of this. We are loving people, compassionate people, super forgiving. We never, ever make fun of anyone.
The trolls. That's true.
I'm just going to keep backing away slowly from the microphone. Don't watch the Depths Man video. Anyway, moving on.
Anyways, yeah, I try to be real cautious with that. And I forgot what else I was going to say with that. We got off. We went off on a tangent. I forgot.
Depths Man ruining things again. Damn it! I knew this would happen.
Damn that Depths Man.
All because he wouldn't get off the Justin Herbert thing. He can't even get the right card. It's just tragic.
Yeah. Well, whatever the rookie card is, just let it be what it is. You don't have to collect it. It doesn't have to be worth a lot of money. It can be worth next to nothing. It doesn't matter as long as it's there. And I think that's the most important thing. See, we all collect at different levels. And I mentioned the 555. This is we're all at different points and different levels. You want kids to come into this hobby, you're going to eliminate the rookie card. They just want to go for flashy. That's fine. They only have so much money to spend in flashy costs, right?
It can. The only thing I'll say though, and the reason why I'm really an advocate for the curation piece, and I use the Juan Soto thing as an example. I love picking up some nice pieces. I look for certain things. And there is the aspect of certain shiny card. But guess what? I've got a Z folio of Juan Soto's there, and most of them aren't worth more than $5 or $10. But there's some really nice cards. They're attractive cards. They're fun cards to collect. They're not super expensive. And there's some of the favorites that I have, but because of their price is respectable and reasonable, it's not like crazy. I can put them in the Z folio. It's not a big deal. I'm not worried about putting them in the in a lucite holder or like having to use the old fashioned screw down that was a brick. That isn't necessary because it's $5. It's not a big deal. But it's a fun card, and I enjoy it sometimes, flipping through the pages and looking at those cards. Sometimes just as much as some of the ones that I paid good money for, just because they're fun cards to me.
Yeah, just has a more of a different significance, not aesthetics. It doesn't have to be that. It just has to be what it is. And when we stop calling Jordan rookies, well, then we'll talk.
So did you decide which one you want to be the Jordan rookie, Victor? Which one are you feeling? Feeling the star or the 86 Fleer?
I'm more of the 86 Fleer, really.
Okay.
I'm just the purist at heart. And,
Gotcha.
Yeah, but star is weird.
No, it's fair enough. I get it.
It is. It's not even determinable. It's like out there. And then we have a lot of things like that in hockey too. Well, not maybe 90s. Not.
But they didn't really skip years as much. Like basketball had that weird period in the 80s. They literally skipped years. And that's what created that vacuum. Like Star only was a thing because Topps wasn't really making cards, because I think they made basketball in 81. And I believe they skipped then forward in time until later on. Memory serves me.
I'm a purist when it comes to the rookie card, and I think there's a lot of collectors out there like me. At the same time, because I'm a purist, I want to, I guess, preserve, because I feel like it's the rookie card is becoming extinct in a sense, as far as the base rookie card. You see what I'm saying? And that's really like my biggest. That to me is like under the biggest threat. Where everything is more leaning towards the parallels, but what are they gravitating to? Parallels of what? Parallels of rookie cards. That's all the rage. So it's
his first year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's still a very viable, important card, even with the new collectors.
I have to say that it isn't, though.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Sounds good. So Yannick, I would say probably not. Nah, I think we're winding her down. So what I'll say is this, guys. Bob was hiding because once he saw 4 people, it's like, oh, that's a lot of people on the screen. It's like Bob needs the space. He needs the studio space.
Yeah.
No, Bob was around, and he was supposed to pop on, but then he was too intimidated by you, Victor. Your presence intimidated Bob Lewis. YouTube Hall of Famer Bob Lewis ran away.
Yeah.
And then I laughed because I called out Joe, and it's like, I put the link on the Instagram.
Yeah.
Do you see Joe Perot on the screen? Like, well, hold on, wait, let me check. Hold on, I'll check. Let me check the corners. Hold on. No, he's not there. Let me try here. Nope, don't see him there.
There you go.
No, I'm not seeing him there either. What the hell? Oh, this is brutal. Just terrible.
Whoa, where's Joe?
I looked in all 4 corners of the screen. I couldn't find Joe. It's terrible.
He's off buying rookie cards.
Which one?
We don't know.
Lord knows. He probably found something. He's probably still working on the pronunciation of that Swedish set. Once we get it, it'll be...
Or OPC.
Listen.
That was the best one.
The important thing is we had all the All-Stars. I called out Joe, and he suddenly appeared in the chat. That was fun. And then we adjusted it there. Yeah.
But he buys an
Hey, Bob Lewis's chair. I don't want to hear these excuses. Tell your slave to get on here. Let's go. We know Chair's the one in charge of this thing. Get on here. Let's go.
Yeah.
So what I'll say, guys, is I'm not going to drag it out too much, but I will finalize on a couple of things. And also, if there's something you guys in the chat want to talk about for a little bit, we can go a little bit longer, and then we'll let the crossover guys have their thing. They're about to do their thing in maybe about 20 minutes. So we'll let them. One thing I'll say, though, and kind of playing back to the first part of the episode where I was talking about a little bit, I'm genuinely curious to see now that the bench gear guys have thrown down the gauntlet, coming back to the original portion of it. I want to see now what the reaction is. Because there's a lot of, because it's, you went on a limb. I give him credit for it. It's a bold statement to make. Over 2 episodes, you went through the trouble. So
I think it was easier to pick on Andy than it is to pick on him, Mike. So
I would agree with that, but it's one of those things where he didn't actually need to reach out, and he didn't actually need to reach out and go there. Like you just decided to do it yourself and you went for it. So it's like, hey, I'll give you the respect for doing it, but now you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to back it up. Because
I know. I shook my head at it and I went, wow. Okay, that'll be interesting. It was almost like, did I miss something? Because him saying that, but
he's a financial planner, Bobby. You don't understand. He's a financial planner.
Yeah,
he's trying to give us all.
What is he
advice.
planning?
He's trying to give us all financial advice.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, are you taking notes? This is financial advice. This is important.
Come on, Dave.
He's an actual financial planner, so he's giving us financial advice. By the way, look, I'm not just here to pick on the guy, but I want to make something very clear about this. I don't have a problem with Mike Baseball Collector, not as much as his best friend Dave does. Dave has like a one-sided personal vendetta. It's basically he's the nemesis, and Mike doesn't know who he is. But it's still good to have nemesis. That's important. But the thing is this: part of Mike's arguments sometimes for vintage, and by the way, vintage guy. I love vintage cards. So I want to make that abundantly clear. Vintage guy. But the thing is this. Sometimes he'll talk about how he was collecting Juan Gonzalez cards and then Juan Gonzalez got hurt. And he talks about the modern players, Acuna got hurt. It's like, guys, that's part of being a collector. Did you enjoy collecting the cards or not? You can't play the I don't care about the value card and then complain that the values dropped because the player got hurt and never got to the Hall of Fame. Juan Gonzalez was great. I loved Juan Gonzalez. He was awesome. He was in his day. He was the guy who was hitting 40 home runs, 150 RBIs. He was spectacular. He was a great hitter. And then Josh Hamilton had his own personal issues, but at his apex, talent, amazing. If you enjoy collecting the guy, enjoy collecting the guy. I don't care if his cards aren't worth anything. Have fun.
I see so much of that.
But at the end of the day, you know what upsets you? It upsets you that you spent the money and now it's not worth anything, and that you can't play both sides of the collector scale, Mike. It doesn't work that way. You can't be like, I don't care about the value and the prices drop. And then you be like, oh, but I lost money on this, so I hate modern. It doesn't work that way, bro. That's not the vibe, man.
Oh, he's getting hung out to dry on this one.
But I'm just being truthful. Like consistency. All I ask for is consistency. I don't care. If you hate modern, you hate modern. Then you hate modern forever. That's cool. I'm cool.
Consistent with that.
You prefer vintage? That's cool. That's cool. But you can't have it both ways. Either you like collecting the player or you don't. Because the player was great until injuries happen in one case or drug addiction happened in the other one. That's unfortunate. So either you're in it for the long haul, or you're in it until there's value in it for you, and then if you lose money, suddenly you don't like them anymore.
There's a little perception of value. You know, we all don't want to collect trinkets that are worth nothing.
I get it, but that's the reason why he likes the Hall of Famers so much. He's like, well, because the Hall of Famers are dead. What are they going to do to increase or decrease their value? Like, I understand it, but at the same time, it's like, it's a little inconsistent with the collector ethos. Let's put it that way. It's inconsistent with the collector ethos. Pick your poison on it. It's all good, buddy.
Well,
anyway,
on both sides of his mouth. That's what he does best. Unfortunately, that's what it is.
Yeah. And with that said, if he makes a good video, I'm happy to watch it. Like, I'm very consistent on this piece. I'm happy to call a good video a good video. I will say this video was interesting and compelling viewing. I agreed with some aspects of the conversation. I thought it was interesting points that they brought to the table. I think they did reach a bit, but I still think it was good. It made for a good conversation. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, true. And after he looks at this one, it'll be interesting seeing his next one.
I think what was really interesting was the video of that guy that they were. I don't know if you guys saw that video.
Oh yeah,
which guy?
Of the guy that went into debt.
That one. Yeah.
$4,000 guy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. And the thing is, I think there's a good lesson to be learned there. I think that is a valid takeaway. But at the end of the day, you're talking about a guy who put $4,000 into it. I'm more concerned about the guy, to Bobby's point from earlier, I'm more concerned about the guys that put $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. Like, at the end of the day, $4,000 shouldn't really ruin your life. Just, you're being a wee bit theatrical, I think. That I'd be concerned if $4,000 ruined your life, you should not have been in cars in the first place. Credit card or no credit card.
Yeah.
But it's such a taboo subject in the hobby, Carlos. Nobody talks about it. But in reality, how many guys do you think have racked up credit card debt?
Thousands.
No, I think I agree with you, Victor. The only thing I would say, though, I guess maybe this is the way that I look at it. When I watched the prices go up, I knew people were using credit. Like, my brain immediately went to, like, I know you're using credit. I know you guys don't have that cash. So, like, I'm not even guessing. I know.
Right.
When you go to eBay, you can get like you can pay for stuff on installments.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, and when you're buying stuff and doing the 30-day returns and using those shady tactics, is because you don't have the cash flow to actually pay for it if the price goes down.
Yeah.
People with the cash flow are gonna like, oh well, that sucks. That was a mistake. Okay, fine, I'll eat it. But people who don't have the cash flow, those are the ones that are more likely to return an eBay thing. Yeah, it's got a scratch on the case. Sorry, I got to return that. Really? There wasn't a scratch on the case when I sent it. That's kind of interesting. Huh.
Did you guys talk about the CEO thing with PSA, Nick?
Very briefly, I touched on it. Do you have any specific thoughts about it? Because I thought it was interesting. I don't think anything will change overnight. But you're a set registry guy. Is there any? Does Nat Turner's now the CEO of Collectors Universe? Officially. Right. So, do you have any of that make you think anything?
Yeah, I don't know. My thought was, I really saw it coming. I just know the way corporate America works today is when there's a big change in leadership, they're going to come in and they're going to clean house and they're going to put the people they want in certain positions and I really saw it. I saw it coming. I'm surprised it took this long, to be honest with you. Man, sure. They probably did it respectfully and on his terms, but I think Joe saw the handwriting on the wall, and they were probably giving him some telltale signs that there's a golden parachute over here behind door number 2.
Sure. Well, this was the point. I was in the group chat. Cryptogriff, Dave knows, Ed was rejoicing at Joe Orlando going. I was like, dude, he's number one, he's getting a lot of money. It's like he's getting money to leave.
Oh yeah.
Number 2, they kept him on for a reason. And here's my point on this. I genuinely don't. As soon as the team took over, Nat Turner needed some time to look around, see how things were, kind of monitor the proceedings, be involved in some meetings. Right. But at a certain point, the decisions that PSA made about pricing, bringing back one level at a time. Look, I don't have an issue because I understand business and I also understand business people. So I don't have an issue with anything. But that's why I say, like, I don't get offended by this stuff. I'm just watching it as an observer. As an analyst, I'm looking at it from that perspective. Nat Turner isn't stupid. He's not. He's a businessman too. He understands. Well, you know what's great? You got some bad news to give? All I'll say is this. When they made this decision, Nat Turner was in the room. So it's not Joe Orlando. Like, now the beauty of keeping Joe Orlando around is that guess who gets to wear the flak jacket and go out there and take the bullets? What I will say is interesting. This is where I did think it was interesting. The timing. Just before the Nationals seemed like an odd time to make this move right before, because then some people are going to talk about it. So why did you make the move just this moment? Less than 2 weeks from the National. That seems like an odd choice.
So people won't be complaining at the National why
They'll
their
still
cards
complain at
aren't
the
getting
National.
back.
They'll still complain. Joe Orlando's off the hook. Now Nat Turner gets to be the one yelled at. That seems like a bad deal. Let him get yelled at one more time.
I guess.
Like, you fools. You just needed to wait 2 weeks. You could, like, I have one more job for you, Joe. Just sit in the booth, let them yell at you, and then you're off the hook after that. Here's an extra check. Go for it.
Yeah.
It just seemed like an odd decision. That's all I'm getting at. It just seemed like an odd choice.
I think we'll find out soon.
No, I agree with that. That's the only reason why I say, like, it's interesting, just from the perspective that the timing seems odd to me. And it made it more newsworthy. I will grant you that, because, like I said, last night I made a video and it didn't include Joe Orlando resigning as CEO. And then I get up over here and it's like, so we got nothing to talk about, eh? So between that and you, like I said, Mike and the Bench Clear guys, it's like, oh, the content gods are so kind. They're so good to us here. You know, give us things to talk about. It's wonderful.
Joe's going to HGA.
I know. That's why he's in hiding. Like, what the heck? He doesn't want to admit it.
That's how rumors get started, Bobby.
Exactly.
Listen, if the man will not answer for himself, we cannot be helped. Like, all we know is that he appears only like when Jeremy lets him out of the cage, just from time to time. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I think Bink brings up a good point there, Carlos.
This one here?
Yeah, there's a lot of chatter over here, and I'm worried. I'll be honest with you.
So actually, you know what's funny? This is the first time I think this is the first time that the screen size messed with me a little bit. So that's my bad. Give me 1 second here. Okay, now I know what happened. My bad. So he wasn't dodging us. I actually didn't see him.
There he is.
He just said, I'm here. And I'm like, where? And then I had to scroll. I was like,
know Carlos is a good host, and I just thought he was waiting for that perfect.
no, you know what, Bob? I'll be honest with you. I actually had the screen zoomed in. So it cut you off. I didn't see you there. It's like you're all hiding. I might have seen the top of your hat briefly, but that's it. Like, I actually couldn't see you. That was great contributions, though. Like, that was a great segment for you.
I was basically doing what Dave was off camera, so
Nice.
just hanging out.
Nice.
Hi, Dave. Hi,
But
Victor.
now
Hi,
that
Bob.
you're here, you know what? Now that we've got the Zoom thing, hold on. Let me do one more look here. Since we got the 5 of us, hold on. Now we don't have corners anymore. Let me take a look. No. I still don't see Joe Perot. What the
No,
heck?
Joe.
Oh, man, I tried.
No, Joe.
It wasn't the Zoom. That wasn't the problem. Oh,
I didn't
brutal.
see him backstage either. So
Oh, this is just brutality. It's like, where's this guy hiding? Dave, do you have him in your warehouse? Is he hiding there?
Maybe.
Listen, aiding and abetting's a crime, buddy. Don't lie to me. Bruh. We can find you in Minnesota. They've got laws there occasionally. Not all the time, but sometimes. That's what I thought. Yeah. Now Dave's been hiding. There you go. That seems like an admission of guilt. So anyway,
Joe, get out of here. Get. Yeah. Go. See you later.
so Victor, this is how rumors get started.
Yeah.
Now this is how rumors get started. Now we've done it properly. So Mr. Lewis, so my apologies for not seeing that. I will take responsibility for that. That was on me. So let me ask you. You've had the chance to listen in a little bit. So any thoughts on anything in particular that catches your eye, the PSA thing or any of the other pieces? Obviously, you were a participant of Hobbypalooza as well. So we touched on that a little bit with Victor. As someone who is a veteran of the Hobbypalooza and produced a highly professional, very carefully choreographed with yourself and Stove investor, dealer, crypto trader, cattle rancher.
Geez.
It's not a trick question, Bob.
No. Well, you gave me options to pick one, like a topic, and I do. The rookie card is
Okay.
it is sacred to me. I'll use that word.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Bob for that because he is a guy who opens packs and things. So from his perspective, he collects predominantly through pack opening. So for him, what he's pulling out of the packs does matter. So obviously rookies could be part of that conversation. That's why I thought it'd be good to bring him in on that.
I was waiting for Series 2 to come out because the Key Brian Hayes rookie was in there. Like that.
Okay.
I remember when I was starting out collecting, Chipper Jones was like a rookie for 4 years. Everything had prospect. I mean, he had like a card from 95 and 96 that still said like Future Star or whatever. So, and then it's like, wait a minute, he's all the way back in 91. What? Or Raul Mondesi when he got hot. There's 94 select cards that say rookie card on them, but wait, he's from 90, or 92 Bowman, I think it was. So it was a process of learning, and I think there's a lot to say for the collector taking some personal responsibility and finding out what actually was the rookie card. Now I did go by the Beckett, whichever one had the RC by it. That kind of helped me out. I never really subscribed to the, I determine what is a rookie card until like the biggest wrench in all this for me has been the first Bowman cards, because and it's as I understand, I'm still learning too, but like what was it? Was it the Alex Gordon card in 05 or some 06 that was like the rookie card logo came after that on cards? Like I'm
trying to remember what year they actually started with it. Because you always had the Rookie Cup the year after. That was a thing for a long time.
06, they started using that logo.
The logo? Okay.
Yeah, there was a big fiasco with Joey Votto. I know that much. Alex Gordon, I'm not aware of.
Okay.
Yeah, there was like somebody had the rights. I forget who the two Tops was one of them, but like they put it out before they were allowed to put it out. Like he hadn't played in the game yet or whatever.
That's
he was
right. Yes.
And they pulled it, and now it's like a really short printed card, so.
And
quirks like that are fun though. I do enjoy quirks like that where it's like, by the way, you have to pull it.
You know what I found out about that specific topic, Bob? I found out that Topps was, I guess, confronted by the hobby and the PA after the rules had came out, and they were like, "Hey, what's up? Why didn't you follow the guidelines?" And it was Topps' excuse back then was, "Oh, we planned this printing like a year in advance, so that was just like a printing bad, my bad on the printing side of things because of scheduling." So they kind of got away with it.
Yeah. So I enjoyed the conversation, and I listened to some of your blogs even, Victor, or read them. It had to be a pack, it had to be from a pack. It's like I had like that Toys R Us Barry Bonds from '86. I'm like, oh, this is a very, it's not only is it I consider it a rookie card, but it's like an offbeat rookie card. So it might not be like one that people always think of, but in that definition that you provide, it's
Victor called them commandments, right? You get struck by lightning by the hobby god if you violate commandments.
Well, that's
how this works,
you say
right?
that, because when you were talking about Cal Ripken Jr. having 2 rookie cards, no, he only has 3 rookie cards, and they're only the 82 Tops with the 3 panel, the Fleer and the Donruss. The traded isn't a rookie card. So it's like, I bet Victor was just like, you have to like hold yourself back to like correcting everybody all the time. Like I kind of fall victim to that.
No, for sure. No, I agree with that. The only thing I would say though is that I remember when Ripken got hot, and it was funny how the Tops traded was the one that got thrown to the front.
Yep.
Because it was when they did the hot list, and Ripken was dominating the hot list for a cup of coffee there. It was like the 93 Finest Refractor, because that was a super chase card for folks. And then the Tops Traded, the 82 Tops Traded was the one that got thrown in their custom.
Great example of like the hobby deciding which one they like more,
Mhm.
and it wasn't the rookie card. So that's an interesting, that's a good example.
Yeah, it's never that card has never had the RC identifier in it. But it's a beautiful card. You can't deny it's a beautiful card. My goodness.
Like green grass, blue sky, like.
But what's wrong with it being a rookie year card? I mean, what's wrong with that designation? I think it's.
I wasn't too aware that it's been a while since I've been on ComC, but
it's okay. It's been a while since ComC has done some work, so it's about the same.
But
I didn't say that was Dave.
You're gonna ruin your sponsorship, Carlos.
I did. Hold on, I'll fix it here. See, it was Dave. There's that guy in that corner who said it. It wasn't me. Nope.
But it's a lot of interesting points. Like the manufacturers don't care. They're making their money. Like they're gonna put rookie card logos on inserts and stuff. And it's just like, how is a new person supposed to know?
Let me get your take on that, Bob. Well, how do you feel about rookie card emblem being on inserts and subset cards today?
Yeah, I mean, it would be okay. So not that I'm at least been in long enough to, like, if I see a rookie card logo on something, to not just trust it necessarily. Do you know what I mean? From like years of like the Raul Mondesi 94 Select having rookie card, like some kind of rookie stamping on it.
Right.
Or the Upper Deck hockey that I would do, they would have like star rookie, or I think Bure was a star rookie in 90 or whatever it was, but it was like he had won 2 years before that. So it was,
you want to talk about shenanigans? Upper Deck had some fun with the foreign players when they would do the World Juniors and different things.
Right.
They eventually stopped that. They did eventually stop that because they were like, you can't keep doing that.
Yeah, Forsberg had the one with like the gold stamp on it, but no, he's got one like before that too, or Lindstrom too. Yeah, that was confusing. But here's the thing: like, I enjoyed the hunt of like figuring out which is the real one,
Sure.
And I don't know, like, I don't know if people are that into it these days. They don't. You guys talked about modern rookies and people just want the parallels. I'm that guy as well, but I still want at least the bare minimum, you know what I mean? And now that there's, okay, so it's tops and then the 50 different products that they put out. Like, I'm not so concerned with getting the Gypsy Queen Key Brian Hayes rookie, but I want his tops. I want his tops chrome.
Okay.
And I want his first Bowman and paper and first Bowman chrome. Like, those are typically my realm, if it's an update or whatever. So it kind of stayed a flagship and Bowman.
Mm-hmm.
Now if I'm opening packs and I get it, I'm happy, of course. Those are usually ones that I probably will plan on like moving at some point later. But now that there's a billion of them, who knows how that's going to play out.
Okay. Let me ask a quick question that kind of plays a little bit into what Victor talked about earlier, and it also plays into some of the confusion that Bob's talking about as well. And it was one of the conversations, so I'll say that Andy was in the Hobbypalooza with Ziggy, and they had their conversation where they were talking about, the hobby and trying to come up with discussing regulation concepts. So one of the things that's in there, and it's more of an open question, because stuff like, adherence to the rules set for the rookie card, things of that sort, and some of the other things that manufacturers can do, sometimes they can't do, et cetera, et cetera. You would need then some kind of a body to basically look at that and then represent the hobby, so to speak, either an individual or a group. The problem that I foresee is one of the challenges that Victor finds with it is that, okay, so we would need to get, Mike Baseball Collector and Dave and the Kumbaya Circle to help us vote for the panel, and then that's the end of that. A couple of burned cards later, and violence breaks out, and then do I have to bring the $1 Million Man back? Because I will. That'll be my reaction to it. That'll be my contribution to it at that point. But eventually we'll break them up. Eventually,
we need a liaison.
Yeah, but then the problem is who would decide who that is, and where does this authority come from?
Right.
Because that's the thing. It's not just words.
Victor,
That's a
you
great
mentioned
question.
the HR
Okay,
department.
Victor first. Victor first.
Yeah.
No, I think
Jim.
Bob said the HR department.
What was your point?
I don't think you're dealing with multi-billion-dollar corporations.
Mm-hmm.
It cannot come from a single person or even a group of people.
Not even Jim Beckett?
Not,
I was told he was godlike. Bobby, stop lying to me. You told me he was godlike.
God.
Oh, man.
That is
Brutal.
godlike. Yeah.
it
Brutal.
would have to be an organization
Mm-hmm.
that would have to have the backing of the PA, and I think then you have some teeth behind your bite, per se.
Okay.
Is my opinion.
Okay. So does that mean we have to offer the PA $21 million for them to start caring about it? Is that what we? Dave, could you cobble together and write the check? We might need a wire check. You know what? You can do it in Doge, buddy. You can do it in Doge if you just that's a start. But if you do it in Doge, it might be a little quicker. We could use the blockchain. It'll the payment will work a little bit better.
There it is.
We could start a union organization and collect union dues.
Well, Dave's getting us started. Dave's getting us started. So on a related note, for those of you that joined us later on, and he'll pop in from time to time, but since Bob joined us, one of our other contributors did want to chime in for a second. So this will be Carlos's reaction when we get Dave, Mike Baseball Collector, and Dave, and the same thing, to have a powwow on the Hobby Kumbaya. He deserved 2 appearances.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll put him back on the shelf for a little while. But tonight it was his coming out party. The $1 Million Man deserved. He paid good money for that spot. And like I said, I am more than happy to sell out. Like, bros. Not to ComC apparently, because they can't ship me a damn thing in under about 50 days. But to everyone else, the problem is I would have accepted ComC's money, but they offered to ship it to me and I'm still waiting. Started in 2019, I'm still waiting.
I think you burned that bridge tonight there, Carlos.
Weren't you supposed to get those last week?
But ComC was shipping it. I'm lucky if it happens in my lifetime. If I live to be 100, I might not get it.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. What are you gonna do? So anyway,
One day.
yeah, no. But in all seriousness, though, like the idea of it conceptually, it's interesting. But like, I think it's one of the challenges. And Victor knows this. Like, we can't get the hobby to agree on anything.
I know.
We can barely get them to agree. Like, so their cards, right? It's like, are you sure they're cards though? What about NFT? What about Top Shot? It's like, no, stop it. It's like, but I have no, that's a digital card.
Right.
No, stop it.
I'm going to be the NFT rookie specialist.
Could you? That would be wonderful.
There you go.
God darn.
There's a niche for you, Bobby.
Fudge. Get out of
Yeah,
there.
I'll stick to hobby generalist. That's my category. I'll stand back and just look at the whole thing and bring in $1 Million Man memes when the moment is right. That'll be my role. Dave, you keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great. And Bob, make sure Chair is not displeased. That's your job.
No, he's happy.
Absolutely. But no, it's the only reason I thought it was an interesting conversation, but they kind of ended up going in a circle because in the end they're like, oh, we want regulation. It's like, so let me bring it back from that hobby council thing. Like I said, Dave and Mike, we might not be able to get in the room. Let's back up from the hobby council. Let's back up for a second. Unless Dave makes it rain enough, we might be able to make that happen. But the thing is that one of the other things they try to throw in is, oh, regulation. It's like, are you sure that's what you want? Because if you actually get regulation, for the sake of argument, let's say you get regulation, you do realize that regulation doesn't stop when you want it to, right? It doesn't like focus itself on one category. It's like the same people want regulations. So do you want me to run the numbers on all the card sales you've made the last 10 years and audit everything? Because you probably haven't reported all that income. I'm just throwing it out there. A lot of you guys asking for regulation. Are you sure the numbers would match if we checked? Because regulation doesn't stop where you want it to.
Right.
I'm just posing the question.
You mean get them through regulation or have them under regulation?
Well, the thing is, when you talk about regulation, they're sitting there like trying to focus regulation in one specific. I was like, we need to regulate the manufacturers. Well, if they're going to bother with regulation, why wouldn't they regulate the whole thing? I'm arguing they have no interest in regulating any of it. Because why? Go ahead, Dave.
If you're going to talk about people regulating anything, you have to talk about Warren G.
Yes.
Interesting.
There you go.
Yeah. the part of the reason though I'm bringing it up is that when you're thinking about that concept, the concept itself is fine. I get it. But the thing is that they're talking about the manufacturer. I'm using that as one example. They talk about the third-party graders. They talk about this, that, and the other thing. Cool. Okay. So if you want to regulate the manufacturers, what do you want to do? Oh, well, we want them to tell us print runs. Why? The manufacturers are in America, most of them. They're operating places in America. It's like, I can print as much as I want. Like, I don't have to tell you how much I printed. I didn't tell you guys to pay $100 for this card. That's not my job. My job is to tell you the boxes and packs. You're talking about the secondary market. That has nothing to do with us. As long as we don't lie to you on the package, if one every 5 packs, you get one of these inserts. If one per box, you get this insert. I can make $5 billion on that insert and just make enough boxes to make it work. Where you have an issue is if I lie to you about the odds. If I say something is not, and I don't produce it, and you can prove that, then I am violating something. But outside of that, if I print 1 box or a trillion boxes, that's not your business.
Yeah, but we're not talking about regulating. We're talking about maybe regulating.
No, but I am talking about
contractual
when they talk about regulating, they're talking about regulating in general.
Yeah,
and they try to focus it on certain areas, and it doesn't work.
No, that's impossible. If anybody comes on for that, we'll just go, yeah, we see it. But that's almost impossible.
Yeah, a lot of that information is proprietary. They don't have to give that information. Now, what I do think is going to happen if the money continues to flow the way it does. The government's probably going to get involved and start regulating some of this money that's floating around. I think that would be
the angle I would take. If it was going to be anything, it would be the individuals making certain amounts of money in cash and doing deals. And as I see you on the vlog, spending 15 grand on this thing. And by the way, did you report that?
Right.
Did you? Because that's the regulation you'll get if you keep asking for it.
Oh, yeah.
Not the other stuff. The other stuff is like, no, they can print as much as they want. That's their business.
The fractional stuff is regulated by the government, isn't it?
Yeah, at least from the SEC. Now, SEC, I think Bob Lewis is head of the SEC. Like, look, he's got his best people on it right now. Like right now, as we speak, he is currently monitoring the markets. Do you not feel safe? I do.
Yep.
I'm comforted. If he didn't have the head on lined up the way it is, if it was backwards, I'd be worried. By the way, news update, guys. Dapsman has a snapback now. He does. He is upgraded to a snapback. I'm so proud.
There he is.
Yes. Wonderful. So I'll catch up on your comments. I'll catch up on your comments, guys. We never miss out on Dapsman. Okay, so real quick. Off-topic question. There you go, Mr. Wonderful. Like, I can still see it. It's like I keep trying to block it, and I can still see it. Okay, so off-topic question. What percentage of fake slabs do you guys believe are in the hobby right now? Now, remembering there are tens of millions of slabs. I'm kind of inclined to go with hockey guy here. With the sheer quantity.
More than one.
More than 1%?
Just more than one.
More than one. More than one physical fake slab. Yes. I think that's valid.
That's hard to call.
Yeah, it is. But I do think it's less than 1%. By the way, that could still be a fair number of them. That could still be a fair number of them, by the way, with millions and millions and millions out there. 1% is still quite a number. I think it's less than that. So worried about Nat taking over. Why? I'm not worried about it. Victor, do you think Nat taking over is a concern?
I don't have any.
Yeah. I don't think it's gonna. I honestly don't think it's gonna change too much. Honestly,
grading cards are kind of fun. Oh,
yeah.
Really?
My forecast is for the next 6 months. Don't expect
about it for the most part. So
yeah. I would honestly think for the next 6 months or so, don't expect any major huge changes. Honestly, I expect it to kind of continue down. I think they've already got a path. I think they've got a timeline for when they want to bring back certain services. It's not going to be all at once. I think it's going to be one at a time. The prices may go up, by the way. Don't be shocked if they do. But I think it's going to be one at a time until the backlog is not gone, but in a manageable state where they feel like they can handle the volume. I believe that's what's going to happen.
And I don't see bulk coming back anytime soon.
No.
If at all.
Yeah. See here. Find a way to combat this issue. Prints a lot. Yep. San Diego Specialty. Yeah. Yep, exactly. The top men on it. Look at Bob Lewis. That's a trustworthy face. That's the person I want in charge of the SEC. I'm very good. Less than 1%? Yes, I'm being serious. It's called math. Hockey Guy has got it here. When you're talking about tens and millions over years and also multiple services and all that stuff, yeah, you could have thousands and tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of slabs and still be under 1%.
Yep.
You could have tons and still be under 1%. There's just so many out there. And you're going to see more. And by the way, they're legit slabs. PSA has a multi-million backlog. It will add to that and probably reduce the percentage, even as they make more fake slabs. I guarantee they'll make more, but I guarantee the percentage is still well under 1%. I'm very confident in that.
Yeah, I don't think that's a huge concern for you.
No, I think it's important because undermining confidence in slabs is a thing. That's important. You don't have to have a high percentage. You just have to have enough people worried about it. Then it is relevant. But I still think it's a relatively small percentage relative to the sheer quantity of slabs in existence.
And how do you fix that? You regulate it.
Ooh. Bob, can you get on this?
I have a question. What
Go
is
for
up with supplies? Why is that still an issue?
Because people kept buying it.
But like, is it? I mean, I was hearing like it's like, I don't know, international stuff or whatever, and I don't know. Like,
Well, it was a bit of a plastic shortage. Dave needed a lot. Dave needed a lot of plastic for the warehouses. Like, you know, he's got to tarp the whole thing up. Like, that's thousands of warehouses all around the countryside, allegedly. You saw Dave was showing some serious cash on the screen a minute ago. Did you not see that? He didn't even show you his crypto portfolio, bruh. The hobby runs through Amish Dave Archer.
Whoa.
This cost me $69.
Wow.
$69.
Did you buy that directly from a dealer or was that imported?
No, I bought it. I went to a card shop.
Oh, really, eh? Wow, okay.
They had them, and they limited one per person.
For the box? Okay.
Yeah, one box per.
Okay, gotcha.
I said, "Do you know who I am?" He goes, "Maybe two for you." I don't collect cards. Okay,
Did it almost work? It's like, do you know who I am? You're right, I do know who you are. That'll cost double for you.
Are you going to flip that box there, Bob?
No, I use it. I use it for different cards too. I use it. I got 240 non-sports cards, so I had to put a few of them in there.
I like this. This is where I have fun with the chat. So here we go. Is that a fact? The number of backlog in PSA? Pretty much. We know there's multi-millions. The amount that's already in existence, multi-millions? Yes, that's a fact too. The amount that are counterfeited? No, it's conjecture. We're making that up. We're just saying that number's much smaller. It just has to be 1/100th and it's under 1%. That's all we need to do. That part's conjecture though. Compsy got another building? Can we see it from space?
Come on.
I don't know if I can handle Compsy having another building. That's serious talk. That's crazy. Can't handle that at this time. Bobby, did you tell him it's for the Burrell Center of Card Research? Can you call your shack the Burrell Center of Card Research? I think that's awesome.
I don't know.
That gives it a certain amount of importance. Well, we know we can see your shack from space. It's probably due to the radioactivity, but still, we can see it from space.
Yeah, it has to be called something. I call it the office.
Ooh. Nice. All right, guys. So what I'll do, Bob, you got any other thoughts, or is Chair feeding you any other information? Are you checking any SEC things we need to know about right now?
No, I was approached by Nielsen's rating recently, so I'll be.
Was it related to your Hobbypalooza podcast? Because I think the rating was very high in the 100 plus demographic.
I'll be getting tracked by them soon and getting paid $50. The three of us will be getting paid $50 a month or whatever, or a week.
Are they even doing that? Is there even Nielsen's anymore?
Bob, if that's
aren't you tracked enough? They even know when you poop. Come on.
No. Hold on. I think this is an opportunity. Bob, can we, if you do get that box in your house and they're actually tracking you for ratings, can we have a discussion about what you watch? Because this could be very entertaining.
Yes.
It's like Dave, we need to find the most obscure crap that needs a ratings boost.
They've already told me like it doesn't matter if you don't listen to like FM radio. I'm like, well, good, because that won't be happening. But I don't know. The guy is coming tomorrow at 10 a.m. to break it down for me, so I'll report back next week.
So is this Nielsen rated for TV or for radio?
It's like all media. It sounds like.
So Amish Dave Archer is going to get like a huge Nielsen ratings spike. It's like, what are you doing? Just watching YouTube videos from Dave?
Yeah.
Just watching his entire like. Does that count, Dave? Your ratings?
I'm not sure I want all this to like be known to me because I don't know. It'll just expose my sad, like non-entertaining life.
Dogecoin to the moon.
It's like, why is the Kardashians rating even higher? I thought they were off the air. Bob, nothing
Rerun.
changed except we let you have a box.
American
Yep.
Pickers has gotten a bump in the last few weeks. I've been watching those reruns on Hulu, but yeah, I stream everything. I don't even have regular channels.
Okay, does Nielsen count streaming?
We'll see. I don't know. I might not even. I have no idea. They said, but we don't care. You qualify. We've picked your house.
You
So what you're
special. We're gonna come over.
what you're saying to me is that much like your career at the SEC, it will have a huge impact, big time impact. It's like the streaming doesn't count, Bob. Then this is going to be a very unfortunate data collection for you.
I'm hoping this gets me over 1,000 subscribers. So
Oh, it might.
A noble goal, Bob. And how many subscribers do you have right now?
713.
713 subs. Wow.
After my last video, I lost 5. So.
I'm the Hobbypalooza one. Yeah.
In fairness,
No,
deservedly
no.
so. I considered unsubbing just on principle.
I mentioned it's
I would still watch the videos, by the way. I just wanted to unsub.
Yeah.
I'd have to manually look up, Dave, is Bob made a new video? I don't want to subscribe.
That's funny. When you get I don't know if you look at your analytics, like, I think more than 50% of my views don't come from subscribers. I'm like, how does that even happen? Oh, that's right, because there's like one video that like is in the algorithm that people just watched that one video from like 3 years ago. That's pretty much it.
Was it like Dave's dancing video? What do you got?
Yeah, it was a PSA review.
Bob watching Dave's dancing.
I was gonna say, so did you boost Dave's ratings, and then Dave watched your video from 3 years ago, and quid pro quo? Is that the deal here?
Mm-hmm.
It is absolutely. Dave has got that dancing video is just scratching the surface of Dave Archer's versatility.
That's right.
There is some there is something resembling versatility. I think that might be the wrong nomenclature.
The one I liked the most was the Ice Bucket Challenge. That was a nightmare.
Oh.
I should do a reaction video, like a tell-all, just poll like 20 YouTubers. What was your experience the first time you saw a Dave Archer video? Tell us thoughts, feelings, emotions that were going through your head at the time.
Well, I'll save you a little bit of time. I thought, it's great after ECW Roadkill got a gig. That's awesome. But what's Danny Doring doing? I'm so curious. And like through the algorithm, I saw an ECW reunion show, and Dave was there with Danny Doring. It was great. It was back in 2005. It was awesome.
Yep.
It was wonderful. Splendid.
You know, the only video that the algorithm has noticed of mine was, believe it or not, that video I did on Eric Lindros rookie cards.
Oh yes,
That
right.
one took off.
Well, the hockey folks are a very passionate bunch. Like if you hit that, if it is a niche. In fairness, it is a niche, but it is a very passionate niche.
Yeah.
A very passionate niche.
Really?
Are you?
Don't get discouraged, Bob, because I found out, I read somewhere, I don't forget where, but they're saying when you lose subscribers like that, a lot of it is YouTube cleaning up
dead accounts. Yeah.
bots that come in and subscribe, and then they catch it and get rid of them.
Does it still count if you have videos saying like title, I unsubscribe from Bob Lewis video? And then I've got a playlist I've been collecting. It's like Amish Dave Archer, Bronco 79. Like, oh man, like geez. Wesker, like what the hell? Like really?
Sometimes
Carlos, go ahead, Bobby. I just want to ask Carlos something about another channel if he is aware of it.
Oh, we don't talk about other channels. Come on.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I think it's Titan Cards. It's a break-in channel. Or
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'm familiar with it. It's Bobby's favorite channel. He watches the whole playlist front to back.
I think her name's Allie or Abby or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go on.
So I just caught it in the recommended videos from a couple days ago, but apparently they got some like violations from Upper Deck because they something that they did. I just didn't know. It was just a foreign concept to me that like companies are watching stuff like that and like ready to administer like violate. Like I think one of the ones that she described was they were allowed to open this product at the start of their opening of their business that day or whatever. They opened it at 10 a.m. when their store didn't officially open until 12 noon or something. Or there was something else about they listed public pricing or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get into it because I was at work and I had to actually do work. But
See. The thing is, I like this topic, and you're trying to ruin all my future sponsorships. My ComC one's in jeopardy. Like, it's not completely gone, but like the hope is fading fast. Like, it's fading so fast. It's all right. It's all right, Tim Gash. Send me a bag of cash and make it up to me, and then I'll speak your praises. It's fine. I'm not beneath that.
Like a diamond group or something. There's
Yeah.
only like,
So
yeah, I don't know anything about any of that.
So basically, like Upper Deck has like diamond dealers, and they've got very set rules in it. And Upper Deck, and this isn't company wide, but it's a thing where they're like a lot of companies. There's an inconsistency. You got Billy Celio, who's a super nice guy. Like if you ever watched like a lot of the stuff he does, he even took pity on Amit and he did his show. Like he's a super nice guy. But and Upper Deck has folks that are super nice. The name of the guy escapes me. Who's the guy who does a lot of the, not Billy, but he's the guy who's like the head of like the Upper Deck hockey or whatever. He's the one who's around a little bit. He was on Jeremy's show. Do you remember who I'm talking about, Dave? His name it's the other guy, the one who did like the PowerPoint presentation and was like promoting himself, but also gave away a box. He's like the boss. The name escapes me though.
It was early on. I can't remember.
Okay. Regardless, though, there's a couple of different Upper Deck folks that will make the round on these shows. And they're very nice people. Like they are. They're very nice folks, and they come in and promote the product and speak well of it and whatever. And that's like one side of Upper Deck. But Upper Deck also has this other side that's like very draconian about certain rules. And it's this weird thing. And I watched that video in question where this is a shop in Tampa Bay. Now, mind you, it's Tampa Bay, so probably they deserve everything they get. But the point is, they do their thing. And in reality, they're promoting the product. Oh, here we go. Got that. Chris Carlin. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Appreciate that. Yes, hockey guy. Thank you. Yeah, it's Chris Carlin. That's the one I'm looking for. So anyway, the point is that they have some folks that will come and do the shows and do all that, and it's great. And they'll promote and they do random acts of kindness and stuff like that. And of course, it's good PR as well. But like, which I understand, but that's normal. That's fine. But then there'll be these moments where they've got a department that basically looks to crack down on certain dealers. And like, if you don't spend enough money with them and then you violate these little rules that they like made up on the fly, and then it's like they threaten you with, excommunication. You're not allowed to have the product anymore. You're not allowed to sell it on the website. You're not allowed to do this and the other thing. It's like, dude, they're in Tampa Bay and they're promoting a hockey product.
Yeah.
Chill out. No, like seriously, chill out. Breaks promote your product. You've actually got someone in Florida, of all places, who gives a crap about hockey and is willing to talk about it on a channel that people watch. That seems good. That seems like a good thing.
Yeah.
And people do watch the channel. It's actually fairly popular. So it's like, how could it possibly be bad that people are actually paying to see your product broken and having people talk about it with people watching? That seems good. That's a good thing. From a PR perspective, I don't see any benefit to being like, look, you don't need to bend over backwards to help them, but at the same time, you don't need to like keep getting in their way. You don't need to threaten them with like, hey, if you guys violate another rule, you won't be allowed to sell our product anymore. You think hockey is a great sell in Tampa? They have to work to sell it. Like anything they sell, you should consider that like, hey, that's bonus. It's not a hockey hotbed. Stanley Cups or not, it's not a hockey hotbed. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So they also do random acts of meanness too. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's the same company, and there's a disconnect. The left hand doesn't always understand what the right hand is doing. That's part of the reason why earlier I made that point about NAT. It's like, don't expect big change. Collectors Universe is actually a bigger company than PSA. People are looking at PSA. It's like, they bought WADA, right? That's another third-party grader that's under the Collectors Universe umbrella. That's a new acquisition. They got to bring them in, get them set up, do everything, get everything under that umbrella. They need to focus on that a little bit to get that set up. They need to hire more people for PSA. that PCGS is the biggest coin grader as well. They do a lot of business too. They can't ignore that. That's part of their business. Nat Turner needs to look at the whole picture, not just focusing on the one PSA. He's got a bigger job to do. Now he's CEO and president in addition to being the executive. Guess what? He's a busy man.
Yeah.
He'll be in meetings. He'll be around. It's not like he won't know what's going on per se, but it's like he's going to have to entrust some of the lieutenants to do some work. And then he'll come by and he'll sign for it and be like, yep, all right, good to go. That's why I say don't expect the world to change overnight. Don't. That's just common sense. Like I'm not being ridiculous. It's like, have you been in a big company? Like the CEO has stuff to do.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a big company. That's for sure.
Yeah. But long story short about the Upper Deck, it's the same problem. And Upper Deck, though, should be very careful because they don't have as many licenses as they used to. And these companies, when they lose their licenses, it's like Upper Deck is basically hockey and some other random products. Like from the major sports, do they have another one, Dave? Or Bob? I don't know.
No, I don't. But it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I mean, I'm not a big Upper Deck or hockey guy per se, but like, what is it? What is actually is it hurt it? You know what I mean? Like, I just don't get like what it just seems like to be douchey for like just to be douchey. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, basically what they got out of this though is that because they sent one of the representatives to go and try to strong arm this, so the owner basically said, "Yep, say your piece." So now the viewers of this channel say like, "Oh, by the way, the reason we can't do personal breaks for hockey anymore is because of this, because of Upper Deck." Yeah. That's a good look.
Like I never brought up this issue when like, hey, that channel, they're doing Upper Deck breaks. I'm bringing it up because it's a negative thing, and like the adage of like word of mouth, like 10, something bad happens, you tell 10 people. Something good, you have a good customer experience, you don't tell anybody. So it just seems like a bad look.
That's true. No, I agree with that. No, I'm glad you brought it up. It's a relatively minor thing. Like I said, it did cost us our Upper Deck sponsorship. Sorry, Bobby. I apologize. No 10 of the cup for you this year. That's my bad, bro. My bad.
Yep. You get 10 bad hits. You get 10. You talk bad. You get 10 hits.
It's okay. Can I? As long as I keep making fun of Comsy, we're good. That's all I care about. Okay, the way I understood it, UD is cool with them doing group breaks, but don't want them doing individual box breaks. There's also an issue with product being listed like 10 minutes early on site. Yeah, 10 minutes early is kind of the problem. That's not exactly like a massive violation, but yes, I agree. Like the relatively minor, like that's a parking ticket on a good day with somebody who needs to make numbers. That's not really something that a company of UD's stature should be worrying about.
They don't care. You're still going to buy the product.
No, and that's 100% true. But that's why I say, like, from their perspective, like, it is an area where, like I said, they're not going to sell a lot in Florida. So that's one of your few advocates you've got in that market. So it's like, well, whatever little business you were getting from there, well, you're going to have a little bit less. So the good news is if maybe you can give away some free product to somebody else in a random place and try to make up for it somewhere else. I guess that's going to have to be your way. All right, guys. So here's what I'll do. I think we're good. Well, let's wind her down here. Last second comments in the chat. Come up with something witty and clever, and you can do that quickly. AmishDaveArcher, you can check him out on his channel, and also the Instant Revolution podcast. So check that out. Bob Lewis used to be a YouTuber. I think he gave up about 5 years ago. So, and if you watch his content, you'll agree he gave up about 5 years. Whether he makes videos or not, he gave up about 5 years ago, at least.
The guy I had the comment. I shared it with you guys.
That's not much of a defense, Bob. You're not making a very spirited defense on this.
It's so funny. The guy, it's like, he made fun. He just basically told me in the comment section, he's like, "What happened, Bob? You used to be funny, and then this makes him sad face." So, I'm sorry. I have that effect on people. I'm sorry.
Oh, Bob, listen. If it makes you feel any better, it's debatable if you were funny.
That's right. Which was my response to him. Yeah,
like I feel like hold on, just a quick point, because I want to plug Victor's channel too, and I will do so in a less insulting way. So stick with me for a second. The thing is, when you're watching Bob's video, you need to come in with the appropriate expectations. I watched it, and if you guys looked, you watched my comment on there. I said this is the thing that happened. That was my response, and it was in fact a thing that happened. I expected a thing to occur. I watched. There was, in fact, a video. It existed. It was real. Yep. But Carlos, was good or bad? It existed. It was real. Yep. Mm-hmm. There was a video there. Yeah. That's all I got to say on it. It's accurate. Thank you, Bob. And you met expectations beautifully, my friend. Beautifully. So anyway, a more legitimate YouTube channel. So Victor, the rookie card specialist, he has not given up on life. He continues to make videos. I think he still has a pulse. He does not work for the SEC, unfortunately. Bob's got that. He's got that covered. Do you want to give any kind of spiel related to the channel for anybody here at the end? Anybody who isn't familiar with your channel?
Yeah, I basically I don't do videos on a daily basis. I can't even say that I do them on a weekly basis. What I do try to practice is basically quality content. I'm more focused on quality. The stuff that I put out is maybe every maybe 7 to 14 days I'm going to have a video up, but I'm going to more than likely present to you something that is not going to be. I don't do what everybody else is doing. I'm not going to give you top 5 picks. I don't talk about hobby headlines too much. I think a lot of people do a lot better job on that than I do. And so I'm kind of off the cuff where I specifically talk about one topic. But yeah, I can be found on all the social media platforms. And like I says, one video probably every 7 to 14 days.
Very nice. And I can testify that he does take very careful care and quality to make a good quality video. It is focused on a very specific topic, and the editing's been on point lately. I have noticed the editing's been on point, Victor. Some fine work by you. Some good stuff. I appreciate some good editing. I'm too lazy to do it most of the time.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. So I do appreciate it when I see it. So kudos to you. Bob. Would one cut kill you, Bob? Would one cut? One?
I pause the video on occasion.
It's not the same. Never mind. Bob will continue working on the SEC under the auspices of chair, and that's about it. So anyway, so thank you, Victor, for popping in. Thank you, Bob, for popping in. Thank you, AmishDaveArcher, for telling us about how great Mike Baseball Collector is. If you all take nothing away from it, it is that AmishDaveArcher loves Mike Baseball Collector, even if he will never be seen in the same room with him, and they will, alas, never vote on the hobby powwow. Thus, we cannot have a panel to deal with the hobby issues. Sorry, Victor. This is what's ruining everything. I apologize on behalf of everyone.
This is the panel.
Oh, this is the panel we want? This is the...
It's like a Mensa meeting, for crying out loud.
I'm just going to go over here. I'm just going to... Yep, that guy's in charge. I'll just leave it right there. Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Just look in that corner. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
There it is.
Fantastic. Beautiful. That right there is the perfect way to end it. So anyway, guys, thank you for hanging out. On your way out, if you could hit the like button, I would appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. Usually this channel, the live stream is silliness. It's us having fun. We do talk about the topic sometimes. We do. And that happens from time to time. So like I said, you know where these folks' channels are. Bobby Burrell has a channel. There's nothing on it. Well, there's one video on it, isn't there?
Actually, there's a lot of hidden stuff that you're only privy to see if you know me well.
Fantastic. Look at
rare,
that.
Rare videos.
Behind the Patreon, probably. Then we'll live the dream.
I don't think so.
Celebrity deathmatch between Dave and Mike. I would love that. Animated Dave and Mike a celebrity deathmatch. That would be amazing. Bob, use your ratings powers to get that piked up the ratings.
We'll sell tickets.
Pay-per-view.
I'll talk to Ed tomorrow.
Pay-per-view.
Excellent. Sounds good. That'll be the last word. You can all think about that now. So anyway, thanks, guys. Appreciate you hanging out. So it is Saturday in the East Coast. Out on the West Coast, you still got Friday. On the East Coast, it is Saturday. If you still want some hobby content, you can go to Instagram. They do have the crossover. So the basketball guys will talk about some basketball. Probably they'll talk about The Office or something weird. But still, you can enjoy it if that's your bag. So anyway, guys, have yourself a good night. Take it easy. We'll catch you in the next one.